just a bloke in a bar.
What is up, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome to another episode of Bloke in a Bar. And just a reminder, I am heading across to Vegas. Next Tuesday is when I leave, but the fight for Zoo vs. Fundora 2 is on Sunday, Australian time, Saturday, obviously Las Vegas time or American time, US time. It is July 20th. I'm heading over there next Tuesday. I am so friggin' excited. And you know what makes me even more pumped is Willie Mason and Lukia heading across with no limit. So we're going to try to do a bunch of content. Hope you guys enjoy it. Heaps of fun stuff, obviously, to do over in Vegas. And we've got that fight. Manny Pacquiao's on the card as well. That is July 20th, guys. Do not miss it. And also, just quickly, we are drawing the Mazda BT50 next Monday on the show. So keep your phone with you from around 9:30 a.m. till around 2 o'clock. We're going to call the winner live on show. We're going to FaceTime you too, so maybe just make sure you look all right if you're going to get the call. We are giving the Mazda BT50 for the Bloke Club, all thanks to Luke Camilleri and Aspley Mazda. Next Monday on the show. I cannot wait. I'm so excited, and it's all thanks to Luke Camilleri and Aspley Mazda. They've been incredible, providing a free car for one of you. I can't remember the last time something this has ever been done, at least on Australian podcasts. A free car given away, and that's all thanks to Luke Camilleri. Absolute legend of a bloke. Give him a follow, LDC_01 on Instagram. He's actually helped heaps of bloke community members. So, shoot him a message if you need a car. Anyway, how you going, Roo?
I'm good, mate. I went out to the Roosters Tigers yesterday.
Okay.
SC Playbook day out. It's quite a day.
Oh, SC Playbook day out.
Yeah, out of community day, mate.
Okay, no invite. That's all right. Sweet.
Yeah, well, mate, you can only fit so many people in. Allianz Stadium put us up for the day and had a cracking afternoon. Great turnout from the community, and saw the Tigers put on a bit of a masterclass as well. So,
a masterclass.
Yeah.
Okay. Interesting. How many beverages were deleted?
A few by us, but I don't think we took the cake in the studio, that's for sure.
Oh, okay. I'm smelling a bit of a story. First, Hammy, how was your weekend, mate?
Don't look at me.
Oh.
I was very responsibly enjoying the game. And masterclass is the word I would use as well, too. A nice, relaxing watch is what it was. Just put the feet up as a Tigers fan and just enjoy a great win. Clinical.
Now,
5 tries to 4, masterclass.
Yeah.
5 tries to 4.
Yep.
And you took the foot off the pedal towards the end. That's what
we did. And it was a blatant penalty as well that we kicked. So
Billy took his whole head off.
Well,
Is he going to be right for next week?
Not, that's the thing. I'm not sure. Go for scans today and kind of go from there. But anyway, great win. We'll take it.
Matty, have you got a mic or not? Okay, what we'll do is we'll save it because we're going to let you tell your adventures on the. I guess we'll save it for a bit later in the podcast. So stay tuned for that. That's the hook and
is
that's
there
the
a
hook and
Code
tease.
Sports article on that one?
There will be. Buzz will get onto it. He'll get on it. But anyway, welcome to the show, guys. My weekend was good. Who gives a shit about me though? Don't worry about it. It's time to face the music. Brought to you our friends over at Sportsbet. Give us a follow on the feed, guys. Yep. Any big. Oh, Try July. Try July.
Well, I'll start with feed first, then I'll get to Try July.
Okay.
Make sure you follow Kempy on the feed. Plenty of great bets across multiple codes, not just the rugby league. A bad beat overnight for you in the UEFA Women's Euro tournament.
Devastating.
You had a same game multi there, Norway versus the old foe, Finland. Talk about a bad beat. Paying $10. You had both teams to score in the first half. Tick.
Boom.
Finland to win. Tick. Over 3.5 goals. It was 2-1. So you just missed out.
That half a goal killed me.
It did.
Oh,
it did. You should have known that Finland liked to park the bus. So
I know, mate. I was going for the big thing. $10. It was paying pretty well, mate. So a bit of a risky one.
Not that far off, but for more like that, make sure you follow down on the feed. He's got you covered. And yes, Try July, you mentioned he's back as well. Great cause as well. Back for a 6th year, raising money this year for the Australian Skin Cancer Foundation and the Player Hardship Fund. So $5,000 for every Try celebration through the month of July. Goes to a couple of great causes there. And for the first time, we've got the girls. We'll have 4 rounds of NRLW.
They deliver.
They have taken us to the cleaners the last few years. They've only probably had 1 or 2 max rounds, but this time they've got 4. So great cause. Thank you to all the players who got involved over the weekend. There was some really good stuff. The Piggy Riddell, followed up by the cameraman attempting to locate Piggy Riddell. I mean, to be honest, could you blame him? It was pretty close, wasn't it? The guy that he went for, but I don't know how Piggy felt about that. But keep those try celebrations coming. Great.
Oh man, I got to say, Nick Meaney. He took the cake for me. He took the cake.
Which one? Synchronised swimming
so
or the TikTok boat
look,
thing?
I thought he couldn't go to another level, but then he went to that viral video of that kid on the front of that boat.
Yep.
And initially I was like, is he spanking?
Yeah.
That's a bit like,
few people.
that's a bit past the PG raters.
Yes, yep.
But then I realised when at the end when he did the little, I think he went like that. I was like, oh, it's a kid on the boat.
Yeah.
Which is I like that. That's called entertainment. He had me in the first half going, this is a bit scandalous.
Yeah.
But then he brought it home with like, oh no, it's just family friendly
Classy.
stuff.
It was good stuff.
It's
What
good
about
classy
the
stuff.
milking of the cow down in Canberra there?
Oh, that's brilliant, wasn't it?
Good stuff. Milk.
DCE also the old man with the stick.
that
Haven't
was
seen that
good.
one before.
Yeah.
Someone had Ilya Tapoya, I think, as well. Did the Ilya Tapoya celebration after the Max Holloway? I don't know who it was that did. I forget, but
I think Scotty Drinkwater getting into the Test series as well. Bit of umpiring, which is nice.
yeah,
to
like
see.
that. So
An old classic.
try July. One of the good stuff. Already raised $100,000.
We've already broken through the 100K, so on
Jesus.
track for as I say, great causes.
Yep.
So keep them coming.
Did we all know what the Nick Meaney viral one was when you saw it?
No, so like initially he was like doing that, and I'm going, well, it's kids watching here, Nick. I've got a son, mate. I don't want to write a letter to someone here. Landy's get his number. But then at the end of it, he did the last move in the thing, which was like, I don't know, something like that. And it's a little, I think it's a Thai kid. Apologies if I get the, kids specific where he's from in Asia, but he's on the front of a boat and he's like, do it like to the rhythm of the thingo. Anyway, explaining it sounds really not that funny, but it is actually quite funny.
Well, yeah, because I said to a cousin of mine, who's younger than me, I said, I don't know what that is. He goes, how could you not know what that is? I thought, fuck, I feel like I'm getting old.
Yeah, well, I'll show you in the break. It's a viral video.
I've seen it now, but at the time, do you know what it was live when you first
I knew
saw
what it was like.
okay,
Because as I said in the first half, I thought he was getting a bit scandalous on me, and I was like, oh, how dare you, sir? But then he brought it home.
Denon and Mace are actually going to do it at the Tim Zoo fight.
Yes,
well, so
absolutely.
Stay tuned.
We'll
Stay
do the
tuned.
synchronised swing one as well.
Yep, looking forward to it. All right, we'll get into Face the Music for round 18. Jeez, they grow up so fast, don't they?
Yeah, they do.
Season just flying by. All right, so the first game, Dogs 18, defeated by the Broncos 22. Matty had the Broncos plus 5.5. Denon and I took the Broncos head-to-head for $2.66.
Smart punting. Can't even speak. I'm that emotional.
Yeah, it wasn't smart punting from Timmy. Had the Dogs 13 plus.
Yeah,
and,
that's disrespectful.
Rue had not submitted his tips by this point, so
Thanks for the text last week. Appreciated that.
Wow.
yeah, well, thank you for eventually submitting him. But no,
For what it's worth, I wouldn't have got anything in that game. So.
Yeah.
Well, I could have guessed that. That's
Did you a
like
favour?
by your past punting.
Did you a favour. On to Saturday, the Raiders 28 defeat the Dragons 24. Most of us expected the Raiders to win by a lot more. Not Denon, however, he had the Raiders 1-12, $3.05.
I just get it. I get rugby league. You try to put shit on me. You just don't get rugby league, guys. Seriously.
Yeah, some brave punty coming up in the next few games from you. Matty had the Dragons plus 10.5, so he got $1.90 there as well. The next game that night, Cowboys 20, defeated by the Storm 26. Again, most of us had the Storm winning big. Not Denon though. A very brave Storm head-to-head $1.27 in the bank for you. So well done to you. You happy with that?
I'm fucking so happy because you just don't get it. You
I
don't
prefer
get
to
it.
lose than get $1.27.
Yeah, that says a loser says that. A loser says that.
Rue was sort of thinking the way you're thinking there, Tim. He had the Cowboys 13 plus, so didn't quite land that one. On to Sunday, Chooks 28 defeated by the
Is
Tigers.
Rue 0 at the moment?
Yeah, Rue's on the nudie run, 3 games in.
I am too.
Yeah.
You're so bad.
know how it ends up
You guys
either.
suck.
Chooks 28 defeated by Tigers 30. Timmy and myself had the Tigers plus 12.5. Rue took the Tigers 1-12 for $5. Denon, another brave bet. He took the Chooks head to head for a whopping $1.21. Sucked in. Cop that.
That's all right. I'm still ahead, baby. Still ahead.
To bring us home, Manly 30 defeats South 12. Denon had Manly minus 9.5. Timmy and myself had Manly 13 plus. Or the Casmar, as we call that one, Manly 13 plus.
What do we get for that, mate?
220.
Needed it.
So that'll do.
back.
So the end of the round, Kempy, $8.88 out in front.
Thank you.
Wins
Thank
another
you.
round somehow.
Wins another round. That's what I heard.
Despite backing $3.20 pops, wins another round.
It all builds up though, didn't it? It all builds up, mate.
Yep. I had $6.76. Rue had $5. Matty and Timmy both had $3.80. So overall, Denon, $153.50. Matty, $148.28. Rue, $120.37. Myself, $109.23. And Timmy, $107.31.
Oh, so a bit of daylight now between me and Matty, eh?
A little bit of a gap opening up.
Yeah, a bit of a gap opening up. Very
you go.
smart punting from myself. Very smart punting.
Well, some of it was, some of it wasn't.
Oh, you know what? So, like, everyone wants to put shit on the fact that I'm going conservative, but it's all part of the plan, boys. All part of the plan. Build the foundation, lay out the foundation. The first 20, complete the first 5 sets, and then we start playing a bit of footy in the back end of the year.
All right, looking forward to
it. That's Face the Music, brought to you by our friends over at Sportsbet. Give us a follow on the feed. You cracked the 10K as well.
Did crack the 10K?
Cracked the 10K.
No big deal. Stop bringing it up.
And also, you're the only person I follow as well. So
how good's that?
That should mean a lot.
What an endorsement.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah. There you go. So get around him. Get around Hammy on the feed. And gee, isn't the feed flying though?
It is.
Like,
pumping.
Mate, holy. So,
Yeah.
like, there's a lot of people now with 5 to 10 to 20,000 followers on the feed.
Yep.
It's absolutely pumping.
Yes, good to see. And just a few people like Diamonds in the Rough that you never heard of as well.
Yep.
Producing the
I
goods.
saw I forgot his name now, but recently the one that had the huge multi a few bits ago, he's up at nearly 30K now.
Yeah, he's flying.
Yep.
Okay,
that's Face the Music. All right, it is time for Code Story of the Week. Guys, go to codesports.com.au/bloke and enter the code bloke, and you'll receive access to a special discounted annual subscription. That's been extended for a week. We've got to sit down and go through all that stuff soon, very soon with Code, so that'll be ending relatively soon, guys. But Mobsy, how you going, mate?
Hey boys, I'm going well. I've got to say, my favourite segment, it must be because I'm here watching it live, but Face of Music, outstanding.
Thanks. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Yeah, I like everyone going for Kempy for the short odds, him still coming out on top. And,
Yeah.
And Rue just getting his 1 to 12 was nice. Just little, I thought it was a bit under pressure there before.
You wait until I start to tip whole rounds. Hold me back.
Oh my God,
I was
seriously.
looking forward to the nudie run personally, but
Yeah,
maybe
same.
next week.
That was a win for everyone.
What do you got this week, mate?
Well, I wanted to talk because, Hammy, I don't know if because with Sportsbet, you get access to some of the Blues players.
Yeah.
We don't get access to Spencer Leniu. Still on his own personal media band. Do you guys get access to him with you and Cooper?
Well, we had a chat to him. I think what the learning out of that was we're not media. We're just a couple of clowns. So
Almost there for entertainment.
That's right. We had a chat to him game 1. Yeah.
So we didn't get the chat to Spencer. He's put himself under that media ban just so he can concentrate on the game. So we thought, you know what, won't stop us. We'll go and try and find a yarn out of him anyway. So we went all the way back to his high school days because, hey, why not? Let's try and find a good story about him. And did you know that Spencer Leniu topped his class in English?
What?
Really?
Yeah.
The big fella, right?
Patrician Brothers school there, great rugby league school. And talking to Greg Beecroft, the head of league there, tells a great yarn about a lot of the teachers would get in of a morning and see from the night before that Spencer had submitted his draft assignments, and the assignments weren't due. They were due later on. He sent through draft to get feedback from them, and often sent past midnight that night. School starts, 8:30 the next morning. He goes through till 3 o'clock in the afternoon. Spence at this time was going off to the Panthers where he was playing flag and ended up making his New South Wales Cup debut. But he'd go to training at 4 o'clock, wouldn't go home till 8:30 at night, hitting the books hard and then submitting the stuff overnight. So This is a guy that got accepted into university to study teaching. So just really interesting insight to the other side of Spencer Leniu because we've seen plenty of them. We saw him riling up the Maroons fans at Suncorp, which I absolutely loved before Origin 1. He took exception to them not kicking him the ball in Origin 1. We've seen some really fiery moments, but it's been explained to us that that's the emotional side of Spencer Leniu, but there's two very different parts of this guy that's made up. And so I'm really interested to see how he goes Wednesday night because it's really interesting detail because when he was coming through, he was obviously part of that team, and they had a game against Westfields, and obviously a good derby there, and they wanted him fit, and they checked the team sheets for the Panthers that week, and he wasn't in flag. He was actually, they went, oh, that's a bit weird. He was chosen to make his New South Wales Cup debut at 17. So,
no way. In the forwards. Wow.
Yeah, and the coach went, oh, geez, please don't get hurt. Please don't get hurt. And he was happy that he was in the number 23 jersey. He was on the bench. When he came on, what did he do? He took the first hit up from the kickoff. So and hasn't lost that really competitive, fiery edge into him, Spencer. So, Fatima Kadu went out and got this story. We sent her out and said, look, we want something on Spencer, if he's not going to talk to us, we're going to find a yarn somewhere. You're not going to stop us. And I just love it. I love hearing these stories about these players coming through.
What a great yarn. Like, you know, we look at our front rowers in our game, and the first time I realised there might be more than I just assumed with Spencer was when he started his YouTube channel. Kind of came a little bit out of nowhere, and I always love when players start their own YouTube channels and that, because just the value in it is so important. You get to control also, you know, what people think about you. But to hear Spencer Leniu do that, like, what an interesting character. What an the ups and downs of his career, winning premierships, going to a glamour club, you know, being the understudy of JWH. And then hearing that as well, like, I'm not surprised that, you know, he's an intelligent man. More just the dedication of going to training, coming home, and submitting things for drafts. Like, that's discipline as a young age. Whereas, like, bro, I mean, I went to uni and even I wasn't doing stuff like that. So that's super interesting.
What a blow for the teaching industry, losing me and Spencer.
Imagine being
recover.
Mate, imagine being a young kid like mucking up in his class. Oh my God! Send you the front runner
around
straight.
in mine, I'll tell you that.
What a great yarn! That's awesome here, and it's just a reminder. And we always have this in rugby league: is we see how someone acts on the field. It's not a representation of what they're like off the field. I'll never forget the first time I met Petro Civoniceva. Very similar, like an animal on the field, like one of the most feared men in the country. Off the field, similar to Spencer, very intelligent, very polite, very respectful. Just another lesson in making sure you don't judge people by how they play just on the field.
Yeah, and I think this is important because the last few years we've really, in rugby league, the media access to the players has been separated a lot. Back in the day when we were growing up, you'd know everything about your favourite players. You know, as an Eels fan, the Sterlings and the Kennys and that sort of drifted away a bit, where it was a lot of, we're going to hide them from the media, or we're not going to, we don't want to promote them for whatever reason. And I like with the onset now of social media and podcasts and everything else, where you get to see a bit, because fans love this. And I know fans will sometimes say to us, and justifiably say, too bad, so sad, you don't get access to them, stop whinging. But these are the types of stories that you can tell, because I love learning about league players. I love learning the backstories and hearing all these cool things when they're coming through the grades, because a lot of the stuff we see at Code Sports is people are interested in the pathways. We've got the National Schoolboys Cup coming up later this month. And
settle down, Root.
Yeah.
That's his area, mate. Don't
Take it into the belt.
How good is it? It's just, but you get to see these young kids coming through and who's coming through at your club and learning more about these guys. And I can't get enough of it. And your story's right about Petro. What a lovely guy. I met him out at Penrith years ago, and just
absolute gentleman. Super smart, super switched on. Like, you watch him play and you think, oh, mate, he just must be an absolute maniac. So Spencer Leniu, he's got his own YouTube channel, 23,000 followers already. But get this. So he started it. His first video has 110,000 views. Second video, 130,000 views. Third video, 235,000 views. And that's a video where Critter literally forgets he's captain of the Bulldogs. It's hilarious. And then his 12 days ago, 69,000 views on his Game 2 vlog. Like again, it just reflects obviously what his teacher saw in him when he was coming through doing all that. Like, the reason why a lot of these players don't start YouTube channels is because of the extra work, the discipline of either learning how to edit or teaching someone else how to do it. But all these guys that are on like $600,000-$700,000 a year, if they take 50K out of that pay, or let's just say 50, 60K, and pay someone full time to do their media, the revenue they'll generate, like those numbers, if he keeps those numbers up, that's as much as like big YouTube channels get, that have 1 million followers. Like, that's huge numbers. Think about what it's going to be like in 5 years, 10 years. That's what I love about rugby league, is like, you just don't know. You can make the assumptions as much as you want about how a guy plays, but you just don't know. Like, I'm sure people probably watched Mick Ennis and had no idea that he was, so switched on when it come to, because he was just so in all the niggly stuff. That's super interesting.
And the part that I find that's even another layer to this is league players are different to the rest of us workers in the fact that the inverted pyramid of income, you're probably going to earn more in the first 5-10 years of your working life, and we consider this your working life, than you are in the rest of your working life, right? You've got so many opportunities to not do much if you want, but the guys like Spencer that are going to sit there and go, okay, well, what am I going to do with my spare time and try and maximise myself? And he set himself up for life after football. Yep. So his vlogs, he's got his teaching. Well, when him and Roo start up their teaching company together and bring the next generation of learners through.
Under the wing, Spence.
Room on.
What a great yarn. That is so good. They're the kind of yarns that come out around Origin that, take a bit of time, bit of legwork to get. So make sure to check that out, guys, on codesports.com.au/bloke. Use your code bloke for a whole year discount. Well, you've got some other really good yarns. Oh, you know what? I'm really intrigued. Rabbitohs. What is happening in regards to that club right now and all the bad luck they've had? Have you got a big yarn coming up with that?
Yeah, we're going to have a little look into, what do they call it? A look under the hood to see what's going on at the South, because we were going through the other day looking at our Origin winners and losers per se, just seeing how clubs have fared during the Origin period. And, the argument that the teams with a lot of Origin players struggle and it upsets the competition. And the Panthers are like, it's day 3 of the US Masters. It's moving day. They've gone from 17th to 6th on the back of 5 wins and a bye. South, on the other hand, with only Latrell there, lost their last 6. It's
far out.
It's a tough period from 0 points during that period. Lewis Dodd is obviously there's an issue with him not being able to get into that first grade side. And Wayne coming back to town and having a look at what's going on with that roster. There's some questions that are going to be asked because it's been a tough couple of years, but I think we've identified before that when you go through coaching changes and they have different ideas about playing roster and everything else, it's going to take a little bit to gel. But it is surprising when you look at the ladder and go, oh my God, look at that team that Souths have got. They're running 16th at the moment. So I'm going to have a deep dive into what's going on. And because this will be the 3rd straight year that Wayne Bennett hasn't featured in finals if South don't make it. And they've got a tough run to come. And this will be the 3rd straight year that South haven't made the finals.
It feels like they've had a tough run the last 6 weeks. And I sort of looked at their draw this weekend and thought, okay, this is where it'll come to an end. They've got Penrith, Brisbane, I think Cronulla in the next 3 weeks. Like, it's been a brutal 8 weeks for them.
Yeah, and just injuries they get. Like, anytime they get a bit of people back, they just injured. Jeez, crazy times at South. And so, to your knowledge, is it true that Dodd is on around 6 to 700K?
Yeah.
It's true.
Yep. He came on big money, and he was signed before Wayne came. So
we literally refuse to believe that on this panel. Like, we refuse to that. Whoever made that decision, look, maybe they've made a bunch of other good decisions, but geez, they should be held accountable for that. Like, signing a young half from Super League for 700K, that's outrageous. How that deal gets done, I'll never know. And you know what? Like, obviously, Dodd, of course you should take that deal. Good on you. I got nothing wrong with that. But it's made life harder for Dodd because now, everyone wants to put shit on Dodd like he offered himself that contract. Jeez, what a miss.
At least Wayne Bennett's come out and said, I'm not going to put the pressure on him by putting him into first grade when he's not ready.
He'll get crucified.
Yeah. Other coaches might have waned.
Almost to prove a point.
Pardon the pun. Yeah. And said, okay, well, I've got to put him in there to justify the price tag if he's not ready. And obviously, you look at how Souths are going, which isn't great. They still don't think that he's the guy to put in there at that point. So, yeah, it's going to be interesting.
And like he didn't offer the contract to himself. So if you're a Souths fan, I know it's very easy to direct your vitriol towards him, but he didn't sign himself.
No.
Someone, I'm sure Souths fan want to know who made that deal. Matty?
I don't know why, but yes.
Yeah. So you'd love to know who made that deal? Yeah.
Because, even if you have a look at that game yesterday, like, instead of playing Dodd, they made the decision to move Jack Whiten off Tom Trbojevic and put Tallis Duncan at centre. Like, the musical chairs they went with instead of playing Dodd. Do you know as well what's going on with Bud Sullivan? Like, from what I've heard, he wants to stay. He's doing everything he can to stay. But I imagine they're going to have to make a decision between those two, right?
Well, they're going to have to, right? And so I think the Tigers would be open to releasing there, but they've got to look at where their salary cap sits now with that. And it's a tough. It's going to be, yeah.
If you're the Tigers, though, you're leaking spine players weekly at the moment. Like, you're going to need some depth, though. Yeah,
well, that's it. And I thought, to you, Hammy, how you thought Fanu played at the weekend as well? I thought it was good.
Great. Well, I'm team Fanu. I think they've just got to go all in on him. And I think week on week he's been really good. Manly game a bit disappointing, but he was on a hiding to nothing with so many, Luai day of the game and a few things like that. But I thought he was exceptional yesterday, probably his best game. And I think he's tracking well.
And what were the Dragons doing letting Bud Sullivan go? I can't figure that out from.
Yeah, that was a weird. They had Amon there. Obviously, his situation. They didn't they re-sign Amon whilst he was doing that case.
Yeah.
Anyway, we'll get to that to later the show. But yeah, really cannot wait for the deep dive on South because they're such an interesting. Like at full strength, for me, they're a premiership threat at full strength, but they're friggin' 16th right now.
Yeah, in most people's top 8 preseason predictions.
The only question I have with them right now is at full strength. My biggest worry is probably 7 for them. Like, you know, that's where I go, okay, maybe they're not a premiership threat. I need to see more out of Humphries if he is their 7. I'm starting to lean towards Humphries being more of an out-and-out 9. But anyway, we'll get into that later. But at full strength and Bud Sullivan hitting his potential, I actually do think that they could, and Humphries as well, I do think they could really take it to some of the top-tier sides. But the main question I have with them is like, it's just around that 7. Like, I think Mamazelis is good enough at 9. Havili can also do a job there. Just a 7 role that I'm getting a little bit iffy about them when it comes to the Rabbitohs. But their forward pack and back line at full strength is unbelievable. Like, genuinely unbelievable.
They're going to be one of the great what could have beens this season, the Bunnies. I'm with you, Kempy. I'm like, on the odd chance they ever got their full side on deck, on what we've seen, it's hard to like push for a premiership, but they have the ability and the talent in that roster to push for a premiership.
Yeah.
So it's unfortunately we're not going to see him at full strength this season or anything near it. So.
The only swing point for me is that 7 jersey. It's can, you know, if they were to be full strength, could Humphries or Sullivan handle the pressure in some of those big games and be able to play consistently enough to it? But let's just assume either Humphries or Sullivan hit their potential. I do think they could match it with some of the better sides.
Mate, like, you've got a superstar at fullback in the Latrell Mitchell. Like, he's the go-to in attack. You don't need a halfback that's necessarily going to create too much. If Cody Walker's there and he's fit and healthy, look, he's not an out-and-out 7 by any means, but he can still get a team around the park. So,
man, big what ifs. But yeah, make sure, guys, go to Code Sports. Go to codesports.com.au/bloke. Use code bloke. We're going to be tinkering with that very soon, so that should be gone soon. Any other big stories before we let you go on Code Sports, mate?
Mate, it's all Origin.
Yeah.
It's all leading into that. So we had a good yarn on the weekend. It's gone up on Code Sports around the real Craig Bellamy, just trying to talk to people around him about some sprays that they've copped and things like that. But Max King went the other way and said, look, when he was at Melbourne, tried for many years to get Craig to go to church with him, to which Bellamy replied, no thanks. He pretty much only prays at one altar, and that's in the coach's box. But even when, you know, that video that went viral a few years ago where Craig Bellamy spent an hour trying to change his tyre and couldn't get it done. Yeah. Maxie King offered to teach him how to change a tyre if he went to church with him. Never went to church, so I'm guessing he still doesn't know how to change a tyre. So, plenty of good yarns
that's
there.
Great. Speaking of Origin, we just wanted to send our condolences to Munster and his family. Obviously, Munster's father has passed away recently. Just devastating. Something that's so much more important than rugby league. So we just wanted to send our condolences to Cam and his entire family. Really, really tough time. Mate, thanks so much for joining us, Mobsy. We appreciate it, mate.
Thanks, boys.
Alrighty, Code Sports done and dusted. Now it's time for another story of the week. Biggest story of the week. Matty, tell us what happened, mate. Come on, walk us through it.
Okay, 2 secs. Okay. So I was there at Allianz yesterday. Thanks, Timmy, for supplying a lot of probably too many drinks.
Anytime, mate.
Got home and I'd lost my keys. Still don't know where they are. And we have a spare key. And I'm looking after my parents' house. We got a spare key. So I got the spare key, went inside. And then I think I must have ordered food or something. I went back outside and then locked the key. So I locked the keys in the house basically, and the back door was open. So the side fence, it's honestly the height of a doorway. It's like where the roof is. So I had to jump it, and it was raining. And basically, I jumped on the bins. I've jumped it a million times. Jumped on the bins, tried to jump over it, and then as I propelled myself, I slipped, fell back, and then as I'm falling back, I try to hold on to something. It happens to be the drain at my family home, and just ripped the drain straight off the house, and then fell back. And the drain. And then and the funny thing was, I'd obviously had a lot of drinks, but I completely forgot it happened. I went to bed. From about 5 p.m. last night, I have zero memory, and I'm not sure if it's because of it can't be
Was it a concussion?
I reckon highly likely. Because I woke up this morning with a huge headache. I thought, oh, geez, I feel a bit hungover. And then I saw all these bruises on my wrist, my ribs, my ankle, everything's cooked. And then I was like, geez. And I started to worry, actually. I was like, what the hell did I do? And then it wasn't until I walked out the front to walk to work today. and the drain is just all over the front lawn. I'll put a picture in the YouTube. But
That's great stuff. Great
Probably
stuff.
for the best if we got that South Sydney game.
Yeah, it would be for the best. That's our
Have
Sydney
you
game.
informed your parents in the state of their gutter?
Yeah, I called them this morning. Yeah, they're fine, but yeah, I didn't even realize that Brandon Smith was injured until this morning. And obviously I watched all of it. Like, there's a video of people giving shit to me. So I remember, I was there. It was all good. But yeah, everything's just completely wiped. So
That's good stuff.
battered.
Well done.
I love as well, as we're walking to Moore Park yesterday, he finds in the gutter a cricket ball from one of the fields from around the corner or whatever, picks it up. And as we walk into Allianz, he's doing the warnies and that sort of. Do you reckon that makes it home tonight? And he's like, definitely not. I was like, no fucking way. Yeah. It's here this morning.
Oh, no
At least
way.
you got that.
How did it get here? Did you carry it in?
Yeah, well, I saw it. Ironically, I lost my keys, but I didn't lose the cricket ball. found the cricket ball this morning on the kitchen table. I was like, oh, cool, I'll bring it in. And it's just over there.
Oh, far out.
Jeez.
Oh, God, that's great stuff.
Got to be careful with those spicy wings at the wing house. You end up like Homer Simpson, slipping through time.
Oh, that's great stuff. Alrighty, it is time for the Menulog Hungriest Player of the Week. And I tell you what, the performance from this bloke over the weekend, I mean, I didn't think anyone would come close to it, and I actually did. But so Nick Meaney was incredible for the Storm. But the hungriest player this week is Kayo Weeks. He scored 2 length of the field tries. Like, to score one of them in a season, you'd be like, good season, good try. He scored 3 or 4 of them already this season. And some of them have been, whether it's a try assist or a try himself, match-winning ones. I think the Storm one where he chipped and chased and they ended up winning that game. The tries on the weekend, like, I just think that people still, even though we talk about it every week, this guy is one of the fastest players in the competition. And he's also, just like, his footwork is everything about Kayo Weeks is underrated. He was unbelievable on the weekend. And once again, Ricky Stewart, like, another tick when it comes to who is the coach of the year. We're talking about a guy that was at Manly, was kind of a 6. They tried him at 9. They tried him at 14. Even when he arrived at the Raiders, I was like, you know what? He suits perfectly a 14. And then Ricky Stewart, everyone thought Chevy Stewart was coming through and that he was going to be the next guy. And granted, he might still be that. He's still super young. All of a sudden, Kayo Weeks just appears out of nowhere. He fills in for an injury last year. And now he's the fullback in the best team in the competition, scoring 2 length of the field tries, running for like 320 metres, 13 tackle breaks, 3 or 4 line breaks. What an incredible performance from Kayo Weeks. And also, and it just, the fact that he's doing this in a season where it's his first full season of a fullback. It's crazy. Timmy?
Yeah, he scored a try in the pre-season trial game down in Canberra. He played about 20 or 30 minutes of the trial, and it was like a scintillating length of the field. I think it was a kick return. He just went, wow, like, this bloke's in for a big year. And the first part of the year, it was a little bit slow. The tries weren't coming. The try assists weren't coming. Now they're starting to fall. Like, he's just exploded the last sort of month to 6 weeks. He's gradually getting better and better and better. But I think the frightening thing, probably for like NRL rivals, is just the trajectory that he's on, because his ball playing's okay. He's still like learning the craft of chiming into the back line and getting that ball playing and throwing that final pass for tries. We know now, we've seen it for a while, but that his running game is as good as it gets. And as you said, Kempy, he's absolutely rapid, but I think his game is only going to evolve more and more and more. And once that ball playing comes, and it will, and the timing and the backline plays and all of that, there's a lot more of a ceiling on this bloke than what we're seeing in just the lethal speed. And
the thing with the ball playing is the good thing for Kayo Weeks, he's a decent enough ball player. It's not like he's uncoordinated. Sometimes you look at fullbacks and you go, oh, he's a bit uncoordinated. I don't know if he'll ever get to that point. I think Kayo Weeks is just learning the timing of fullback.
Correct.
I don't actually think it's the passing that's the issue for him, because I think he came through the grade as a 6. I think, Roo?
He's sort of played a bit all over the place, but yeah.
Mate, incredible. What a performance. 2 length of the field tries like that. Like, when was the last time a fullback scored 2 length of the field tries like that? I honestly can't remember it.
It's mental.
It's mental.
What, he broke about 8 or 9 tackles in one run?
Mate, I think it's 200, I think he had like 246 kick return meters. Like, it's insane.
So 346 total meters, 3 tries. 262 kick return meters.
4 line break assists, just for good measure.
2 line breaks, a try assist, 9 tackle breaks. Wow.
It's one of those, like, back in the day, Rugby League Week used to, once or twice a season hand out a 10 out of 10.
Yeah.
That was a 10 out of 10.
Oh, mate. And just on your point in regards to ball playing, he had 23 passes compared to 28 of Jamal Fogarty. So that's decent,
Your point's valid, though, mate. It's the ball playing is there. It's just getting that timing right and when to chime into the back line and getting all of that. Like, it'll come.
Yeah, absolutely.
Timmy made a really good point there in the preseason. He had that. I don't think he scored it himself. I think he made that line break.
Yeah.
He might have passed Ethan Strange or someone. But when you look back to the start of the trial, like, the Raiders only played their full team in one game. They got beat 40 points to 10. But if you watch that game, they played their full side for the first 15 minutes. Blew Cronulla off the park. And Ricky went, no, I've seen enough.
Yeah.
We're good to go to Vegas now. And since then they've lost 3 games of football?
Mate, 3 games of footy in the whole year.
Bye.
It's crazy. All right, we'll get to the Raiders though. I'm very excited to talk about the Raiders. But yeah, Kayo Weeks, here's our Hungriest player, brought to you by Menulog. Use code WEEKS, WEEKES, for free delivery this week. That's crazy. Free delivery this week, all thanks to Menulog. As always, we are so appreciative of Menulog. I think it's a 3rd or 4th year running, guys. Support people that support us. They make this all possible. They keep the lights on, and we wouldn't be here without our partners. And a hungry shout out goes to Donut Jam on Menulog, where the hot Biscoff donut just melts in your mouth. Donut Jam. Give them a good old fashioned glazing. Hey, you and Sowie.
I'm a big glaze guy.
Big glaze guy.
Glazed Lungy.
That is good, glaze slung. Have you used that before?
I think I said it last week.
Yeah, okay. It's all right. It's worth reading.
Well, I thought so. Yeah.
So Donut Jam.
Brew
massive,
wasn't here for it.
He wasn't here for it. That's true. That's true. So Donut Jam, a shout out to them. They're hot Biscoff. Ooh, that's making me hungry. Use code WEEKS for free delivery from any of your local legends near you. All right, it's time for the Grumpy Coffee Team of the Week. Get your Grumpy Coffee from grumpycoffee.com.au. Beautiful, beautiful coffee, guys. We just had one of our biggest ever months. People are loving the coffee. Thank you so much for the support. You don't want to miss it. We've got pods, we've got beans, we've got ground, we've got it all, and it's an outstanding coffee. I promise you that. Okay, the team of the week is as follows. Got it on my phone here. Kayo Weeks at fullback. Garrick and Sloan on the wing. Timoko and Turbo in the centres. Ezra Mam and Fainu at 7. 8, May. 9, Walters. 10, Willison. 11, Sean Blaw. 12, Fainu. 13, Morgan Smithies. He goes over. How good? 14, Nick Meaney. 15, White from the Roosters. 16, Hope from the Tigers. And 17, Nwanga Nitawase from the Roosters. That's our grumpy team of the week. Alrighty, it is time for the Kayo Can't Miss moment. If you love sport, you can't miss it. It's on Kayo, guys. And there's some big, big things coming with Kayo, guys. So make sure, if you haven't, get on board. It's so good, Kayo. It's so good. They're actually sending me across, as you guys know, to the Zoo Fundora fight, July 20th. You don't want to miss it. It is going to be absolutely huge. Okay, the Kayo Can't Miss moment is Fainu's just whole performance. But more specifically, the fact that the Fainu brothers became the first ever three set of brothers to score a try in an NRL game. But there's one specific moment that I just loved, and it actually became the difference. And it was Fainu's try-saving tackle on the Roosters winger making his debut, where he threw absolutely everything at him. And really just a good example of some of these young guys coming through. They got all the talent in the world, and Fainu, we all know that. You can see it. It's there for everyone to see. But what do they do when it comes to effort areas? And so his ball playing in attack won them the game. But this try saver was all effort. It was all heart. And you could see that it meant more than him than just winning a game. He did it for his coach. What an incredible moment from Fainu. I'll go to you first, Hammy. What a moment.
Unbelievable. And he was pretty passionate when he was interviewed post-game, saying, the week that they'd had, they all kind of ripped in for Benji, and Benji gave him a big rap in the post-game presser as well.
Getting emotional, mate.
Yeah, I am getting emotional. Very emotional. I thought all three of the brothers were great, but incredible moment with the game on the line there, finally making that big try saver. But yeah, the boys were humming yesterday. All three of them scored. Yep. Outrageous stuff.
Crazy. Yeah. Absolutely crazy. I will say, Latu Fainu, if he just has the right leadership and the right training, there is so much talent there. His explosiveness with ball running.
Yeah.
Obviously he does a lot of things similar to Katoa in regards to straightening up the line, in regards to going deep into the line. But there is a lot of talent there. It's just about making sure he stays on the field and directing it in the right direction.
Yeah, he got through a couple of times, and he's got really strong kind of hips as well,
Yeah.
which, you see a lot of the great halves kind of have. He got through with some good footwork a few times. I didn't realise how quick he was off the mark.
Yeah.
When that loose ball was there,
Mate.
it's almost like he was on in like Mario Kart and he just hit a star. And he just like exploded all the way to the end. No one was catching him. I didn't realise how quick he actually
Can someone
is.
edit him hitting a star and then being colour?
Yeah, do that.
He's built like a brick shithouse as well, isn't he?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, like
Eloquent.
so. Yeah, no, I'm the wordsmith. Is he not though? Like watching him and the size of him yesterday, like he looks like he'd be a terrific 6, but as he gets bigger and bigger, like does he turn into a lock? And you don't need to do it anytime soon, but geez, it looks like he's got the size of a 13 down the track.
Mate, I just look at Jerome Hughes, and what they've managed to do with him, and I just see so much similarities with Fainu, where they're super explosive off the mark, got great footwork. As I said, I think the main, not worry or whatever, but just thing that I look at now is he's so explosive. I just want to make sure he stays on the field as much as possible. I don't want him to have a lot of niggling injuries.
Don't put too much weight on
Exactly. Even strip a little bit off him. Yes, you're going to lose a bit of power, but you're going to keep him on the field.
And that's the only thing that's going to stand in his way, in my opinion. I think he's had a lot of, I think he broke his thumb a few weeks ago, was it?
That's right.
And then in the thumb rehab, did his hamstring. Like he's had a few like this, so it is something they need to be aware of because, I like if I'm picking that Tiger side, he'd be my halfback, and I think Luai would be my 5'8".
Yeah.
I think it's the way to go.
That's the way that it was supposed to go for the Manly game. That's the way they were going to run out. So I'm on board with that as well.
Yeah, and I think with Luai, whether he's 6 or he's 7, he's intelligent enough to know, okay, there's a bit of pressure on Latu. Just take a step back, mate. Let me guide the boys around. I'll bring you back in after 10 minutes or so. But Latu Fainu, he is the Kayo Can't Miss. What an exciting time for the Tigers. He's a junior, essentially a junior, obviously. Come from Manly initially, but he hadn't played first grade yet, though.
No, he hadn't played
first grade yet. They've brought him in. As I said, if he can stay on the field, he does remind me a lot of Jerome Hughes with that explosive first 10 metres. And with the way the game's going, with how fast the play the ball is, I always go back to look at Cleary. His first few years where they didn't have that, they had some success, Panthers, but nowhere near where they're at. He used to average like 60 to 70 run metres. The first year he started averaging 100 run metres, the Panthers went on their dynasty. And so that's what I look at a guy like Fainu. When you look at Hughes, who recently won the Dally M, that kind of setup as a halfback can be extremely damaging as the game speeds up.
And Isaiah's just done the exact same thing. He's added like 60 or 70 run metres to his game this year.
Yep. It's just, in this version of rugby league, as a 7, if you want to be a top tier one, you've got to have a good running game. It's really that simple. Now, you can be a conservative one and get your boys around the park, but you're probably not going to be top tier in the current game. But yeah, Latu Fainu, what an incredible performance, guys. He is our Kayo Can't Miss player this week or moment. And Fox League exclusive games this round are Knights v Storm, Saturday 3 p.m, Dragons v Roosters, 5:30 p.m, Cowboys v Doggies, Saturday. And the NRLW season kicked off last week with wins to the Eels, the Bulldogs, the Broncos, Dragons, Cowboys and Roosters. I tell you what, the NRLW, the numbers for the NRLW are astonishing. Like, some of the stuff I've heard from behind the scenes in regards to people watching is amazing, guys. And it's just getting better and better each year. And you guys know, like, I'll always call a spade a spade. And when it's not good, it's definitely getting better. And the numbers are getting bigger and bigger each year. Kayo will be showing every game live and ad break free during play. The FIFA Club World Cup semi-finals and grand final on this week. Semi-final 1 is Wednesday 5 a.m. Semi-final 2 is Thursday 5 a.m. And a few big upsets with Manchester City and Inter Miami not qualifying past the round of 16. So it's anyone's trophy for the taking. Grand final is Monday 5 a.m. And the boxing event of the year is coming to main event on KO. Aussie superstar Timmy Zhu. He is looking to claim the WBC junior middleweight title from the 6'6" towering Inferno Fundora. Plus, the legendary Manny Pacquiao returns to the ring at age 46 to take on WBC middleweight champ Mario Barrios. A Las Vegas Super Show live Sunday, July 20th, exclusive to main event on KO Sports. No KO subscription needed. So if you just want to get the event, you can just go to KO and buy it. But get your KO subscription, guys. It's the best in the business. Alrighty, it is time for the NordVPN Defense Play of the Week. The Defense Play of the Week. Oh, it brings me plenty of pleasure to see this. It is Karapani's shot on Preston to essentially end the game against the Bulldogs. 18-0 down against what a lot of people consider one of the premiership heavyweights. The Broncos find a way, and Karapani has been an absolute revelation since coming into the side. And that shot on Preston, talk about textbook shot through the ribs. And a guy like Preston, who does not drop balls often, does not get shot like that often, for Karapani to land that, the timing, the power, the explosiveness, what a shot from Karapani. And collectively, Broncos fans across the nation just went, took a deep breath and let it out and said, thank God for that shot. What a great shot from Karapani. I can't express to you how hard they are to time those shots, because you've got to be coming in essentially at full pace and have it. You've got an impact area of maybe 20 to 30 centimetres you have to absolutely nail, and he absolutely nailed it, and he's our NordVPN Defence Player of the Week.
Geez, been a good buy for you guys.
Oh, mate.
Like, at South Sydney, he was a bit of a prodigy coming through the juniors and stuff, and then, I don't know, he just wasn't able to quite put it together, and he sort of just disappeared from South Sydney without much being said, which, usually in rugby league when that happens, it's an attitude or something along those lines. Like, it was always just a little bit strange. But to go from that, where there was rumours about Adge and everything, to Madge Maguire wanting to build around you, what a turnaround.
Well, so much so that they've gone, Selwyn will offer you 300. We're going Karapani. And at the moment, it looks like absolutely the right decision. Another tick for Michael Maguire as well. Another player that's essentially taken from Q Cup level at most, potentially less, to all the way into the NRL and being one of our better players each week.
Yeah, he's big, he's strong, there's a bit of speed about him. We know he's going to be, probably a pretty prolific try scorer on the wing at the Broncos, but the defence in recent weeks, and like that shot on Preston, and then again, the tackling he made last week on Ed Cossey on the line, like these defensive players going, all right, if he can round his game like that, as you said, like they've got rid of Cobbo and saved a bunch of money on Karapani. He's come through beyond bugger all at them at the moment. He'll get upgrades, but what a get for the Broncos.
Absolutely, and what a freaking shot. Just what I loved about it the most is just the textbook nature of it. Like that style of, tackle where you're going a bit lower, you're hitting through the ribs. Like it's almost a forgotten art. I often wonder, do coaches even coach it anymore? Like, do coaches tell wingers to hit blokes through the ribs anymore? Or are they always telling them to wrap the ball up? I'd love to know if there's any junior coaches here currently listening or watching. Is that taught anymore, the art of the winger jamming in and hitting through the ribs? Because it's a weapon a winger can have. Roo, I don't know, is it taught as much anymore?
Yeah, I would lean towards it's all about wrapping the ball up. Yeah, realistically, I've told the story before, and a bit of a different situation. But like when I was coaching 5 or 6 years ago, we had John Sutton come down. He was, teaching them defense. My little hooker got out, put on a great shot in the front row forward, and he said, "Stop the game. You ever do that again, I'd hook you." Fuck. And it was like, and I was sitting there going, "Fuck, that's what I was taught to do and couldn't do for my entire life." And Sutton just said, "Mate, you do that, he'll just offload the ball, and you've cost your team."
Yeah. It
might as well be a 7 tackle set. You've made us make 2 tackles in that play because you didn't wrap the ball up.
Well, you look at a player like Nwanga yesterday and playing centre at the moment, or he did on the weekend, but if you're a wing and you're jamming on him and you hit him anything under the ball, he's going to offload to his wing and find space every time you score.
Yeah.
Like, players are too strong in contact with that offload these days. You just can't afford to do it.
Yeah. And unless you nail it. Unless you just get low enough where you're underneath the bump, but high enough where it's not a legs tackle. And that's what made this tackle so special. Karapani, he is our NordVPN Defence Player of the Week. And guys, make sure to use this code, guys, because it's not going to be around forever, that's for sure. And look, there's a reason that the Defence Player of the Week is brought to you by NordVPN. Case in point, when Timmy got hacked the other week, it can happen to anyone, the poor fella. Mate, all seriousness, the stress this poor fella was under and the stress we were all sitting there going, I feel fucking so terrible for Timmy when this all happened, guys. So NordVPN, it protects you. It protects you. It's high security. It protects your information. It stops fraud. It stops your social media from getting hacked. So jump on today, protect yourself with NordVPN. And to get the best discount of your NordVPN plan, go to nordvpn.com/blokeinabar. Our link will also give you 4 extra months on the 2-year plan. There's no risk with Nord's 30-day money-back guarantee. The link is in the podcast episode's description. Make sure to use it, guys. And also, a massive thank you to NordVPN for supporting the platform. So if you want to protect yourself, NordVPN is the best in the business. Plus, also, it's got all the great stuff. You can go to different, be browsing from different countries. It's the best in the business, NordVPN.
And make your password something stronger than milk.
Or like 2019 robbed or something like that.
Terry Campese.
It's been a long couple of weeks. The latest casualty of the cyber attack, there's just new stuff popping up all the time. They got into when it all happened and went down. SC Playbook cricket TikTok gone.
No, not the TikTok.
Wiped.
No.
Flying as well, the SC Playbook cricket TikTok.
Oh, no.
They got in and, TikTok didn't want a bar of my refusal, so gone.
Oh, so it's just gone?
Gone.
No way. Well, there you go, guys.
Gone.
There you go, guys. Protect yourself. NordVPN.
Hashtag don't be like Timmy.
Don't be like Timmy. Absolutely.
Yeah, trending.
Okay, it is time for the round 18 review. And just a reminder, guys, last week, when we say sorry for shortening it, we can't go longer than 4 hours. Like, surely there's some reasonable... If there's Origin chat and we go longer than 4 hours, like, we can't be here for 6 hours, unfortunately, guys. So
He's got a gutter to fix. Like, we've got
unfortunately, if we want to get it out in time, we have to stop at 4 hours, guys. But obviously this week we're not going to do that because we don't have Origin chat. Okay, Bulldogs defeated by the Brisbane Broncos 22-18. And talk about mixed feelings for me because 60 minutes of this game, the Broncos' defence was actually outstanding. I've got to say, the defence is actually what won them this game. Although people go, 18-0 down, mate, they should have been 30-0 up, seriously. So the first 60 minutes of this game, we were diabolical. Like, seriously, it might have been one of the worst games I've seen Renault play. Cobbo, first half, I was genuinely like, hook the bloke, like, get him off the field. But what I love about this victory is, okay, those things can be fixed. We already know what Renault can do. He'll fix that in a week. That's fine. Cobbo, hopefully he can sort his stuff out. We'll speak a little bit more about that further in the review. What I love about this is the fight that they showed and the belief. The fact they're 18-0 down and they still believe that they could win, that's a champion's belief. And that was a brilliant last 20 minutes, an incredible... It just shows you, like, when they clicked, we always talk about if the Broncos click. Here's a bloody good example. Yes, don't get me wrong, the Bulldogs were terrible in the last 20 minutes, but then you could make the argument the Broncos were terrible for 60 minutes. So it kind of evened itself out. An outstanding win from the Broncos. Ezra Mam just turned it on. Absolute fire. Karapani, outstanding. Willison, what a performance. A brilliant win from the Brisbane Broncos.
Yeah, I don't know what to take from this game. I really, because you're right. I thought Adam Reynolds had a shocker. I thought it was one of the worst games I've seen him play.
Yeah.
And for them to come back and win this game, I thought it was done and dusted. I just thought there was not a hope in hell they could get back into this. I thought Ezra Mam's performance, especially in the last 20 minutes, some of those passes he threw, like that's the best ball playing you'll see in a 20-minute period, I think. Like, that was incredible.
Yeah. Remind me of the grand final, honestly. I know it's a bit different because he was running in the grand final, but he just turned it on.
I'm a bit of an odd guy like that. I prefer watching him ball play like that than what he did in the grand final. He was just toying with them completely. And he just pulled the right rein every single time.
Yeah.
That ball that he threw to Piakura, geez, I thought he was good too.
Yeah, yep.
He's
been building towards that, yeah. Absolutely. Timmy, what do you think, mate?
Yeah, what you take from it, Roo, is they beat premiership contenders in the Bulldogs in the space of 13 minutes. Like, they were down 16-0 at half time, didn't score for 60 minutes, and they just go, no, we've got the firepower without Carrigan and Haas, mind you, and Reece Walsh. And, like, I know the Dogs were missing a few as well, but they had a strong side for this game. Bang, 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 4 tries, 13 minutes. Like, that is the belief you take out of it. And obviously you need to, if you're Madge Maguire, you need to get any complacency out of them, this thought of, we can turn that in a 15-minute period. Oh, you want to win a column, you've got to play for 80 minutes. But they know that when they turn it on, they can beat anyone.
Yeah, just that last 15 minutes or whatever, it truly just was everything that could work did work. And just, it says something. It's just that belief that I think you can't really teach that belief. And that's what's kind of hopeful as a Broncos fan. Like, we are so far away from where we should be as a club in regards to consistency, but at least we have a team that has that kind of belief that will fight.
Yeah, the other thing for me too, we'll give Ezra Mam a heap of raps at the back end of that game. I thought Billy Walters was the turning point.
Oh, mate,
he came on the field, it flipped.
He's been doing that for a few weeks now, Billy Walters, and so much so that, honestly, purely on form, you'd probably have him starting, but you can't actually move him from that position because he's been so good coming off the bench. Billy Walters was outstanding. Just what a performance that last 20. But it's so bizarre because if you talk about most of the game, Mate, I thought their defence was outstanding, like really, really good. But, geez, it was dreadful for a lot of the game.
Yeah, Billy Walters has been fantastic, hasn't he? Like, and I'm with you, Kempy. He's good enough to start, and you'd love to start him. I just think 14's his spot. Like, he can cover the halves. He can come on and play as 13 as a middle forward. He can play as a 9. Like, he scores a lot of tries, Billy Walters, from dummy half. You go like, oh, that's poor defence, whatever. But he's got really good awareness. He reads the game well. He sees an opportunity. He takes it. It's like, no, he's just a good footballer.
And I guess you got to ask yourself, like, does he help the team more with the impact he brings off the bench and the utility he offers, or would he help the team more by being an 80-minute 9? I think Michael Maguire's looked at it and gone, listen, Benny Hunt's coming back soon. The rotation is probably going to be Walters Hunt. I'd be very surprised if Corey takes that 14 role off Walters. And so maybe he's measuring at Maguire and going, there's no point putting him in for a 90-minute an 80-minute number 9 at the moment, or not even 80-minute, let's just say 60-minute, because when Benny Hunt comes back, he's going to get moved anyway. So if I'm preparing for the back end of the year, I want him as getting as many runs on the board coming off the bench as possible, so he becomes the best version of that, maybe.
How do you see when Ben Hunt comes back in? Are you expecting Hunt 9,
yeah,
Billy
Hunt
14?
9. I think so.
What would be sort of your ideal minute split?
Well,
Or is it just game dependent?
Well, I think it's game dependent, because you look at the weekend, I don't think Billy Walters came on to like the 60th minute or something like that. I haven't got it in front of
He
me.
only played 32 minutes, so
Yeah.
what's that, 50, yeah.
So he didn't come on the first half. Me personally, I don't want Benny Hunt playing 40-minute stretches, so I'd probably be going Benny Hunt first about 25-30. Get Walters on before half-time to increase the tempo. Maybe Walters goes off at half-time and Benny starts the second half, and you do that again potentially, or you just make him play that big block. I don't mind, though, Billy Walters coming on the back end of each half because of the momentum that he does tend to bring. What would you boys be doing?
I think you start Benny Hunt. I think you look to play him, pending like how his fitness is when he comes back, 60 to 65 minutes. But you start him at 9, Walters off the bench. You probably bring him on, as you said, Walters about the 30, 35-minute mark for probably a 30, 35-minute period. You bring Ben Hunt back on probably 15 into the second half at the end of the game, and then whether Billy Walters shifts to 13 for a little bit and plays as a middle forward, or whether he goes off, I'm not sure, but I think that's the way they'll do it.
Yeah. So it's going to be super interesting, like bringing Benny Hunt. It's like just this assumed, it's going to be great, but like they seem to be building something quite nicely right now. So hopefully they can keep that momentum going. What do you think of the game, mate?
Yeah, Broncos, obviously, the Dogs were very strong in the first half, and thought, geez, there might be a bit of a gap in class between these sides. So it showed some great fight, and some guys really stepped up, obviously, in that last half hour. I thought probably Xavier Wilson, best game of the year from him. And the last couple of weeks, we've you particularly have sort of gone, Payne Haas and Paddy Carrigan obviously get in, they rip in each week and kind of carry that pack around a little bit. When are a couple of the other guys going to step up and go with them a little bit just to give them a chop out or come up to their level? And last couple of weeks, Xavier Wilson's done a really good job, I think, through this origin period, and obviously 200 run metres on the weekend, led the charge from the front there. So, I thought he was really impressive in this one.
Geez, that's crazy. So the stats-wise, it was Broncos had less possession, so it was 27 minutes compared to 24 minutes. But the Broncos had 6 line breaks to 2 to the Bulldogs. Now, we'll just talk quickly about the Bulldogs, and then we'll go back to the Broncos and focus on them. A little bit concerned at the Bulldogs, to be honest. You actually look at their record against top 8 sides, it's not pretty. It's not pretty. And just that, like, the fact that Broncos have 6 line breaks to 2, I know the Bulldogs were missing some people. Just a little bit concerned they don't have that extra gear in them at the moment. We'll wait and see back end of the year, but I think they're 2 from 8 or something against top 8 sides. Little bit of a worry.
I think they've just got to rip the Band-Aid on this situation too. They can't keep fucking around with it. I couldn't believe Burton moved to centre the other night.
I was quite surprised.
I understand that, maybe they were short on outside backs, but surely you just find anyone, don't you? Like,
there's as if they don't have at least a strong centre just to put in there or bring someone in there. Because like the thing with the Bulldog situation is that when Galvin started, and he had some good moments, but he played Galvin footy. He didn't play Bulldogs footy. And what I mean by that is like the amount of low percentage passes he was throwing at the line, like that's Galvin footy, where I'm just going to play whatever I want, whenever I want. And I think that like he either needs to fully commit to the Bulldog style of footy.
Is that this week? Yeah. What the fuck?
Blake Wilson, Jonathan Sewer, and Cassius Tea all in New South Wales Cup.
So Blake Wilson played Cup.
And Wilson was named, wasn't he?
Yeah.
See, that to me is a Very, very strange.
Mate, they've done everything they can, the doggies, to try and accommodate and work around Lachlan Galvin to the point that they've moved their 5'8" to centre when they have an option like Blake Wilson, who's a proven, quality first grader. As you said, Guru, rip the band-aid off, live and die by the sword, whatever it is. You've made your bed. You've signed Lachie Galvin. You either bring him in and you just give him the 6 jersey or 7 jersey, whatever you want to do, and he becomes an 80-minute starter for you, or you play him off the bench each week, you find a different role for him. But this shit of moving your halves around and moving your hookers around and your halfback hook and your hooker to the bench who plays big minutes to accommodate Lachie Galvin, it's like, do one or the other. You start him in the halves an 80-minute man, or you find a different role for him off the bench as a utility.
Yeah.
Especially now, you know what it looks like next year. You've got your way. Sexton's left. He's going to leave. You've got Reid Marnie that's left. Like, just do it.
Well, it's strange because it's like you have made the choice publicly that Sexton isn't your guy. So what are you waiting for? If you don't think you're a better side with Galvin at 7 and Burton at 6, what'd you get rid of Sexton for then?
Yeah, and I feel like they're waiting for Galvin to have a breakout game and like
confirm it.
earn it. But it's like, give a fuck. You made that decision. You were first on the ladder. You made the decision to let Sexton go. As you said, or one of you said, you made your bet. You've made it. You have to lean into it now.
And funnily enough, like they're actually going to need Galvin more time on the field in that position because he clearly still plays Galvin footy. Like, do you agree with that sentiment?
I agree. I think he needs. From watching that the other night, I thought the big difference was he wasn't playing direct enough.
Yeah.
Was my takeaway from it.
Yeah, I looked at it and he was just taking too many risks. That's not Bulldogs footy. Like that, those extra little passes that he was throwing that was like hospital passes essentially. Like that's not Bulldogs footy. Bulldogs footy is high percentage footy, completion rate really high. Don't risk it, and he's going to need time. Like a lot of people are focusing on Galvin and trying to blame him for this situation. Mate, he didn't sign himself. So, yes, you can hold him accountability for his performances, and I thought that it was a really mixed bag on the weekend. As I said, I think he took way too many risks. I think he was a bit too focused on playing his style of footy rather than Bulldogs footy. But the focus should be at the higher-ups that have made this decision. If you are frustrated with what's going on, Galvin didn't sign himself. He didn't. This just doesn't happen. Just doesn't happen.
Might be time for Gus to rip the Band-Aid off and meet him.
Oh, wow. That felt like it came from a deep place inside your heart.
Maybe it's time. It's clearly very disruptive at the moment. So.
I think on the weekend it was evidence that he's going to need time on the park to learn Bulldogs footy, and he's not going to get it coming off the bench for the rest of the season, in my opinion.
The first game he played for him where he came off the bench and played 30 minutes, he just came on and just played his role perfectly. He didn't overplay his hand.
Yep.
Played
Bulldogs footy.
Yeah, played Bulldogs footy. It was all about getting the best out of the blokes outside him, getting his centres and his edge back roles, early ball and all that sort of stuff. And I just wanted to give a shout out to Toby Sexton as well. Comes down, he's been dicked around his whole career, starts as a halfback, takes a battling club, they're leading the comp and plays good footy, gets moved on, signs with the Catalans. Haven't heard a peep out of him. Like, he's had every right to sort of say something here or there or kick up a stink. Hasn't said a word.
Yeah.
Like, credit when due.
He's been a champion. He's been a champion. And look, I want to be clear because some people are confused about my position on this. I back the Bulldogs to make this work. Like, I back Serraldo. He's worked with far less and made far more. So I've got no issue with them making the choice for this to happen. But two things can be true. You can be like, okay, you can make that choice. No issue there. I get it. I can understand the thought process because I do believe that they need an extra gear in them if they are going to win a comp. But you can also believe Sexton has been, I guess it's an incredibly tough situation he's been in, and he's handled it with so much just class. Like, he's been so classy in this situation, and he deserves appreciation from everyone, from the Bulldogs. Like, he could have, you're right, Timmy, like, he could have easily let slip here or there that he was frustrated or pissed off and created a headline. And again, that doesn't mean that you can, Bulldogs have every right to sign whoever they want and not re-sign whoever they want. It doesn't change the reality of the fact that you're on top of the table being told you're not wanted. Like, that's going to be a hard pill for anyone. Imagine you were at work and you were a key person in the team that took a failing business to one of the best businesses in your state or something like that. And you were you were one of the key members, and then the team leader came to you and said, we actually don't need you anymore. You'd be frustrated. Yeah. Even though it's within the team's right to be able to do that. So I can understand what the Dogs are doing, but I said this when it all happened, save the public-facing earning nonsense. Like, let's just get rid of that nonsense. If you're going to pick Galvin, pick him to start, Pick whoever your best starting side is and just lean all the way into it, in my opinion.
And the irony is that, like, I'm not making this like a shitbag on Galvin's session because that's the furthest thing from it, but Lockie Galvin has been headlines and probably saying stuff he hasn't and share stuff on Insta, and he's made noise. And the bloke that's on the outer session, who has the right to be doing what Galvin's sort of done, hasn't said a word. Like, interesting.
It's a great point. It's a great point. So I just think, and this was our big worry. I remember us talking about it. Is that will Galvin play Bulldogs footy? Because we know Galvin footy. It's entertaining. It's fun. But at the Tigers, he was allowed to do whatever he wanted. Like, whatever he saw, whenever he wanted, even if he made errors, the Tigers were like, all good, you're a gun, we want you here all the time, we'll back you in. That is not what the Bulldogs are going to accept. They need him to fit into that system and play to that system.
And as well, like, now that round 18's done, like, finals footy is 9 weeks away.
Not that long.
It's not that long. And I think what you need to consider with Canterbury, their last 4 games, they play Roosters, Melbourne, Penrith, Cronulla. Their finals start in 6 weeks, realistically.
And I, just to be clear as well, we're not blaming this loss solely on Galvin at all. It's just the biggest talking point. Like, Galvin didn't drop all the friggin' balls at the end there, 72% completion rate. We'll get to the other people that didn't play well, but it's just the biggest. It seems like something that they're probably not handling the best, in my opinion.
And just on the way that you said that Toby Sexton's handled himself, geez, I thought Matt Burton handled himself well the other night.
Mate,
God
especially
Christ, I would have had the shits if I was Matt Burton about that, but he just ripped and teared.
He was so good in the first half. So good in the first half. So, you know, Reid Marnie also moved on. I actually thought he was quite good on the weekend as well. But anyway, what we'll do is, guys, we'll go Broncos and then we'll get into the Bulldogs and where it kind of all went wrong. So Broncos, we've already kind of alluded to it, but mate, Reynolds' season, I know they ended up winning, which is great, but he's just been so up and down this year. Like, he's had games where you've gone, oh my God, he is at career best form. And then other games where his kicking's just been like so off. I think he had like 3 7-tackle sets and 2 out in the full.
Yeah, 2 out on the full for sure. Yeah.
Okay, so first kick out in the full, a 7-tackle set, kick gets charged down, another kick out in the full. So like and then he did a kick on 3rd tackle, which they caught and got the ball back. So just I don't know what's going on, but he's just got to find a way to maybe just take a step back and instead of trying to land that kick that is like only Reynolds can land, maybe just be a bit more conservative. Pull up a few meters, and okay, is it as glamorous as the Reno that we know? Maybe it's not, but it's going to be better for the team, in my opinion.
I didn't see you last week, obviously, but geez, I was surprised when Selwyn Cobbo was named at fullback last week, and I know that by the time we got to the game, Jesse Arthurs wasn't available. I would have picked Arthurs at fullback personally, but geez, that win covered up a nightmare first half for Selwyn.
Mate, I've got it in my notes. Like, yes, okay, Selwyn had a bad game. That's on Michael Maguire. That is anyone here would have said, why are you picking Selwyn Cobbo at fullback when we've already seen him there? He clearly isn't fit enough to be back there, and he's just not a fullback at the moment. If you have a whole preseason, fair enough. Mate, I actually said it might have been on the captain's run or whatever. Mate, I would have debuted the young guy they've got in their squad.
Anyone. Put anyone at fullback. I thought and granted, they won, full credit to them, but I just thought the optics were terrible on that. Like, you're not good enough to be a Bronco, happy to let you go elsewhere. Like, pretty sure he was pushing for a release a few weeks ago to get out of there before June 30, and then to pick him in the spine.
Yeah, big error from Michael Maguire there. Obviously, he's done so many good things this year, but I felt like it was a big mistake from him. You telling me there isn't a bloke that you could say, mate, we just need you to catch the ball and run hard. Yep. That's it. Don't even bother about 3-on-2s and all that nonsense. Just catch the ball and run hard.
And I saw people on social, like I posted something about it, and people were like, contracted player asked to do his job. I'm like, it's not about him. It's about the other players in the team. This guy's not up to standard to be in our side, to be picked week in, week out. He's not what we want moving forward as well, but come in and be fullback this week.
And to my understanding, he went back to New South Wales, Queensland Cup and didn't go that well.
Okay.
Yeah.
So maybe that changed at least week 1. I don't think he killed it or whatever. But again, yes, he had a really good first game against the Bulldogs at fullback. But after that, anyone that knows footy watching him, it's like he is not made for fullback right now. Now, does he have the talent to have a preseason and build his body to be a fullback? Absolutely. It's Selwyn Cobbo we're talking about. But right now, he's just not fit enough for it, and his head's not in the game for it. Yeah. And that's why they've got a young guy, Latrell
Seagwell.
Surely, I've seen him in the trials. He's a super talented young kid. If you said to him, mate, I just need you to catch the ball and run hard, he would have easily done that.
Even, mate, just putting one of the guys they're building around into the future, even if it's like a Dean Mariner or a Karapani, like I know they might not be fullbacks.
They can just catch the ball.
They're in
run.
the squad. Hey, just get the ball. Just run hard for us. That's all we need.
Jesse Arthurs.
Well, yeah, if he was available, I assume that's probably what they would have done. I was assuming all week that they were going to make a late change. Once Arthurs was ruled out, I can kind of make sense of it. And you would like to think that was a reasonably sudden thing before the game. But
do you reckon they'd have gone Cobbo over Arthurs if Arthurs was available?
I'd hope not. I mean, the proof's in the pudding. He was so poor. Yeah. He was so poor in that first half. And just refusing to go up for bombs. The try, like basically nearly all their points came off first Reynolds kicking out or something like that, or an error from Reynolds, then they would score, or like a drop ball or something from Selwyn Cobbo.
Yeah.
Seagull's leaving next year. Maybe that's why.
He's going to South, but so
what? Like we're trying to win games here. I'd still, it'd be different if Selwyn had shown he's a fullback and he's ready to play fullback, but he hasn't shown that. Aside from one game, he doesn't have the. I don't think he has the fitness at the moment for fullback. Because he hasn't done a preseason there, his body is made to be a big centre or winger, which is fine. But also, like, I just don't understand how he's so struggling so much off the field that you dropped him in the Q Cup. What's changed in 2 or 3 weeks that he gets called back into fullback? Anyway, whatever is going on with Selwyn, I do hope he really sorts it out. And maybe it has been sorted out. It's good that he's going to the Dolphins. Hopefully Christian Wolf can get the best out of him. But he definitely just wasn't concentrating on the game on the weekend, unfortunately. Yeah. Poor fella. Just a tough night at the office for the big fella. But me personally, I actually don't blame it on Selwyn. I blame that on Madge. I think that Madge should never have selected him there. I really don't. Okay, let's get some positives. What about Willison? Talk about coming of age. Talk about back against the wall. Your forwards are gone. We need you to step up and become a mature first grader that leads from the front. And I actually thought, his second stint was great, but I thought his first stint, when their backs were truly against the wall, when they were kicking out in the full, dropping balls left, right, and centre, I thought he was absolutely phenomenal, Willison.
There's a lot of moving pieces in your Broncos team as far as the future goes, but geez, he is such a key one if he becomes what we think he can. Oh. And you've got that 3-prong front row attack. It just changes everything.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it changes the next 5 years from will we be okay to this is a team to be feared kind of thing.
And we've said for so long that Carrigan and Haas, they need support and they're not getting it at the Broncos from the rest of the forwards. And Xavier Willison, the way he's been in recent weeks, just even things like next week, apparently Payne has to get injected for Origin to get through it and all that. It just takes a little bit of pressure off. Payne has to back up and play massive minutes because we've got Xavier Willison. He can carry an extra load. He can handle it and do a job for us. So it takes a lot of pressure off Madge and the rest of that pack.
It really is. It is club defining. They need him to fulfill his potential because they've invested a lot in Willison, and rightly so. He deserves it. But he's the future for them. Who else is built like him that has the potential to play like him?
Played 68 minutes on the weekend.
It's crazy. It's absolutely crazy. So here's his stats on the weekend. In the middle, 68 minutes, 20 runs, 203 metres, 83 post-contact, 4 tackle breaks, an offload, 43 tackles, only 3 misses, no errors. I mean, those are Payne Haas numbers, literally. And that's what's exciting about a guy like Wilson. What an incredible performance from him. Incredible performance. In regards to some other guys, I thought Jordan Ricky was outstanding this game, especially his defence. This is the Jordan Ricky I want to see every single week. He was aggressive. His defence was strong. I thought best game of the year by Jordan Ricky by a mile, in my opinion.
If you can get that out of both your back rowers every week, once again, it's a different footy side.
It really is. You're
just having this conversation with so many of your players week in, week out.
If
it's on, if it all works out. I'll tell you the other one, and he was solid on the weekend. I just had a look through his career. Jack Goss, what season of first grade do you reckon this is for him?
Oh, mate, probably 7 or 8.
11.
What?
And next week, if he plays for the Broncos, it'll be the 3rd time he's played double digits in a season. Just hangs in.
What?
11 seasons. He debuted in 2016.
How old is he now? 28, 29?
He is born 94, 31.
31. I tell you what, you opened a new chicken store.
I was about to say, Char Grill Charlie's up there.
How good. Hey, I'll be getting, when I'm in Brizzy, I'll be getting
First
some chicken.
one in Bris Vegas. But yeah, how good's that?
You'll be visiting that, jeez.
What are you trying to say?
You love a chicken.
Yeah.
Jeez.
Yeah, 11 seasons.
I thought you loved the chicken.
I'm just going, you cancelled then. Fantastic.
Jeez, what bloke doesn't love a good chicken?
Yeah, 11 seasons he's played. Crazy.
Yeah, mental. And just keeps battling, keeps turning up. He's been great depth for us as well because he'd be on literally minimum. Maybe not even top 30, to be honest. Maybe even development deal. I love Piakora, that, a match-winning moment, I think. He's been building towards that for about 6 weeks, I reckon. The only thing with Piakora is just with his tackle technique, he's almost got to just don't even worry about shotting anyone anymore because he's just had quite a lot of head knocks and head in the wrong positions and so all that kind of stuff. Because if he could just stay on the field, you see the potential there. You really do see the potential there. And I felt sorry for him because as soon as he got dazed, he got up and he knew immediately, fuck, I'm going to be off for 15 minutes again. So he's just got to find a way to, take a step back. Instead of trying to shop blokes, let's just do everything really meticulous, almost conservative, very Melbourne Storm-esque. Like very rarely do you see a Melbourne Storm player flying out to shot someone. Just get through the work, be very smart about it, wrestle really well, and then eventually build back up into that shot machine that you probably were coming through the grades.
It's Broncos footy. Meticulous.
Yeah. Wish it was meticulous. Jeez.
Well,
roller coaster every week.
A bizarre game. I reckon the Bulldogs almost in the first half, Brisbane was so poor that there was a heap of missed opportunities for Canterbury. I almost think that Brisbane lured them into a false sense of security in that game.
Mate, that's what I said. I thought the Broncos' defence was actually really, really good because you're right. The Bulldogs should have probably won by friggin' 30. They dominated them the first half. Broncos are terrible. Anyway, so great win. I thought Kobe Hetherington was good too. We've already spoken to Ezra. But yeah, incredible win. Well done. Great for Deloise Hoyter too. And massive congratulations to Ben Tulty for making his debut. Only got signed recently too from the North Sydney Bears, I think. Anyway, good stuff. What about Tyson Smoothie starting in the front row? Jeez. Big fella. But 27 tackles, 0 misses. Anyway, now onto the Bulldogs. So we were just speaking about Galvin and stuff like that. I just worry as a team that when this game gets into finals footy again, do they have 4 games, or let's just say 3, they make the top 4, to where they can go to another gear like they almost did against Penrith Panthers? I'm just a little bit worried that when they get into finals footy and that forward pack comes up against a Raiders pack, that's absolutely frothing at the bit, can the Bulldogs, their systems are great, they're a bloody good NRL club side during season. They're going to be top 4 probably most years with Sorrell at the helm. But they're just missing that extra little punch. What do you reckon, boys?
Yeah, I'm starting to have a few concerns around Canterbury. They are the sort of side, though, that I'm aware that in 3 weeks' time, it could be completely flipped.
For sure.
I think they can get it right.
I'm not counting them out right now.
Counting them out.
The questions are just beginning to pile up a little bit.
I think the other question that's starting to appear for me is, if I was to bet right now, I would say Raiders and Storm finish 1 and 2. Are they going to be able to go to Melbourne or go down to Canberra? And that's the other concern I'm starting to have.
Because what happens is you go down to Canberra, let's say you lose that, which is fine, they finish above you on the table. Then you might have to play like the Broncos, Roosters
Penrith.
red hot, Penrith red hot. It's a weird season where you've got these big juggernaut clubs sitting in the bottom of the 8.
And that's once again after they've essentially played 3 weeks of finals footy going into finals footy. It's a tough draw on the run in. Yeah, I'm starting to have a few concerns.
Because they could go 0-3 leading into finals and drop out of the top 4 even.
Well, yeah, mate, this top 4 is going to get very tight very, very quickly.
Because Broncos are now just 1 win out the top 4, I'm pretty sure.
2 wins.
I think if you add
the bye, they're 1 win away.
1 win.
Yeah.
Which is decent. Warriors' run home is pretty decent-ish.
Soft.
Pretty decent. I know they're missing some people. And so just, if they fall out of the 8 and they find themselves against, I don't know, a Roosters side that's just foaming, a Penrith side or whatever.
Fall out of the 4.
Sorry, 4 out of 4, sorry.
Yeah.
I was still believe in them, but the questions are definitely piling up when you look at their record against top tier sides. They've either dominated the first half or whatever. Even their win against the Raiders, they got pounded in the first half, absolutely dominated. So just getting a little bit worried that extra tier, it's not there for them. And ironically, this is why Galvin was brought to the club, because they've internally looked at it and said we need another gear in them. And that's why we've already spoken about it, but they've got to rip the Band-Aid off and go, okay, what is our best 17 that we think is going to take us as deep as possible in the finals, and just pick that each week.
Yeah, and if it's, if working out that best combination takes them a month, which it might do, like you're just leaving it late now.
Yeah.
I feel like they've sort of been treading water for 3 weeks already, that they could have just made this decision. They knew, I personally think they knew 6 weeks ago Sexton wasn't going to do the guy come finals. I just think they have to do it.
Yeah, geez, tough call. As I said, even though I'm critical of the way they've been too patient almost with the Galvin situation, at the same time, I do think they've just got to hold their nerve a little bit as well. Because who knows, they could just be going through a bit of a dip in form as well.
And I agree, like it's a tough call, but I think they've already made the tougher call realistically. Like I think they've done the hard bit.
Yeah, for sure. I'm with you, mate. I'm with you. As I said, I think we said this at the start, like, don't worry about he's got to earn the jersey and we've got to just do it, in my opinion. Does anyone, if they name Galvin at 7 and Burton at 6 and I don't know, Sexton at 14 or whatever, is anyone who's going to be shocked at it?
If Sexton's not on the side next week, I don't think anyone will be surprised, realistically.
I think the Doggies are capable of winning the comp this year with Galvin in the halves starting or with Toby Sexton in the halves starting and playing 80 minutes. I don't think they will win a comp with Sexton moving to 9, halfway through the game, Marnie
Galvin
going
on the
to
bench.
the bench, Galvin coming on in the halves, change. I don't think they win a comp doing that. So it's like, make the call now, whatever that is.
But it's weird though, because if I'm being honest, like right now as a team, I think it seems like a part of them thinks that Sexton is still the best option for them, which is weird. Do you know what I mean? Like, and I don't mean long term. I just mean like right now, trying to win games. Do we have enough time for Galvin to learn the system and have him as a starting?
I'm with what Roo said earlier. I reckon they're waiting. I reckon they're concerned about, and like this is complete speculation, obviously, but I feel like they're worried about backlash if Galvin comes in and starts and Sexton stops. So they're waiting for Galvin to come in and go gangbusters and have a cracking game, and then they start him and drop Sexton.
I thought by this point they expected Sexton to maybe crack a little bit, and it'll be easy. I don't think they're sitting there going, like if they were sitting there going, maybe Sexton is our best shot. Like, you had 2 years to make that decision.
No. What I mean when I say that, I mean like exactly to your point. They expected Sexton to probably fall apart, not play well. Sexton's like right now, Sexton's playing bloody good footy.
Yes.
And so I think if there was a grand final tomorrow, I think they'd hesitate to go, I'm putting Galvin straight in. Sexton's actually our best player right now because he knows the system. But not long term. Obviously, Galvin, they've gone down that direction. But yeah, I agree with you guys in the sense that like, for what other reason do you need to bring Galvin off the bench each game? Other than backlash, I guess, potentially?
I think they're just trying to manage it.
It's been done.
It's been brazen from the start. Just lean in.
And funnily enough, I actually back Serraldo to make this work. Whether it's this year or next year, I think Serraldo will make it work.
And it's
I really
also
do.
like if Canterbury do win a comp with Galvin at 7 this year, like it's pats on the back. It's,
mate, it's one of the greatest ever.
If that's what you think Galvin can achieve, just do it.
Yeah, I'm with you, mate. I'd be very... Do you reckon they name it this weekend? I reckon they'll name it. I reckon they'll rip the Band-Aid off this weekend.
I've got no idea, to be completely honest with you. I thought they would have done it a few weeks ago.
Yeah. What do you
By the
reckon?
way, just on that note, how the fuck has Sexton ended up in the south of France?
Mate, most strange thing.
I wonder whether he just kind of went, I need like basically a gap here.
Yeah,
I'm
okay.
getting over there and just going to enjoy myself, play some, footy over there, get away from it all for a bit. But I thought that might have been that's the only way I could make it, because he'd be pretty in demand in the NRL.
He is going to have a couple of the best years of his life living in Perpignan down there, southern France, playing in the Super League. It is absolutely heaven. He'll go over there, he'll kill it, the pressure will be off. He's
Man of
in for
steel.
a couple of years.
But do you think it's risky though? Like if he stayed in the, let's say he went to another club and got him into the top 8, he's demanding 800 or 900k. Well, if he goes over Super League and kills it, at most he's going to demand 600k maybe.
Yeah, I reckon there's such a lack of good sevens in this game. He'll be okay. I get what you're saying, but I think he'll be okay. It surprises me that a club didn't offer him a big...
Surely they did, and he just said, I just want to go play in the south of France.
Maybe it was like, give me a year or two and then I'll come back and play at Perth. Something like that. A couple of new teams coming in.
But 500k in the south of France,
Not bad.
it's not bad at all. Not
Maybe,
bad
yeah.
at all. But yeah, I would even with all that said, I am still shocked beyond belief that an NRL club wasn't willing to even put 500-600k into him and say, mate, be our 7 to get us into the 8. There are a lot of clubs out there. Even at the Broncos, I spent it on Friday. Mate, if the Broncos signed him for 400-500k, I'd be stoked to take over Reynolds until Kobe is good to go. Kobe Black is good to
That
go.
has still rocked me that Blake Wilson played reserve grade. That's
That's so. If there was one person that I thought would move, I know we alluded that Burton could move, but I thought he'd be almost the last to move. But yeah, just in regards to some other performances, it's a bit of a weird one because most of the game the Dogs were outstanding and they played really well. So like they didn't actually have like individual, Barry Crockers per se. Kick-out was quite good in the first half. I thought Burton at centre was actually outstanding in the first half, if I'm being honest. Like, he was an absolute nightmare for our defence. Absolute nightmare. And then when you look at the numbers too, 140 metres, 46 post-contact, tackle break, an offload, 17 tackles. But yeah, they just got to find a way to close games out against some of these top-tier sides, I think.
Yeah.
That's their biggest question. Reid Marnie, obviously going to Cowboys, boys. Thoughts? I love it. I think it's a great signing for the Cowboys. They probably got it for a decent deal.
Yep. Yeah, I like it. I think it's a good fit.
I will say, with the Bulldogs, because they don't have a ready-made replacement, yes, I understand he does sometimes have discipline issues, but his service from dummy half and the stuff he gets through, that's not easy to replace. And who do you reckon is going to be next year for him?
I think it'll be Hayward, personally.
Yeah.
But
I'd agree.
I actually do think they'll be able to replace him, okay? But
Okay.
I'm a little bit higher on Hayward than everyone else.
I think that, I wonder whether Hayward, just that service, I think they'll replace him well enough, but will they have a 9 that plays as well as he does? I'm still a big fan of Reid Marnie. I think he plays.
I think it's they'll miss him more than they expected. He's just reliable.
Kind of like the Eels.
The
Eels thought that, we don't have to offer this bloke. He went to another club. Again, I know he's not the best 9 in the competition or whatever, but it's just a crisp service. Now, if Bailey Hayward spends a whole season, just working on that service, then I can definitely see them just being fine. But I don't know. A lot of people are just very much like, oh, yeah, we'll move him on. You'll be fine. I don't know. High-quality 9s like that, they're pretty tough to find. So it's going to be interesting what happens next year. I don't think they're going to fall apart by any stretch or whatever, but I reckon, I'm with you, Timmy, I think there's going to be some games sometimes and go, geez, the service out of hooker is not as good as we used to and missing a few tackles here or there. And what's weird as well, with Hayward, I heard that they were actually interested in another 9 and he was going to play 14 next year. I just can't remember who it was.
There's a bit of chat about Talon De Silva.
De Silva, yeah.
Yeah.
But that fell through. I love the signing for the Cowboys. I think he's exactly what they need right now for the Cowboys. Anyway, hopefully the Doggies can bounce back. In regards to the ladder, I'll just get this ladder up real quick. Okay, so the Doggies are sitting third on 11 wins. The Warriors have 10 wins. The Broncos have 9 wins. And the Panthers have 7 wins. The great Gus Gould, he's on board now. He says get rid of the buys as well. Thank God. I still think we need to get rid of these buys. I really do. As in the 2-point buys. I just
simplify it.
I couldn't disagree more. I reckon yous are the minority because most people don't care about their other teams. They just want to know what their team's doing, and they don't want their team to lose, to go down on the ladder if they don't play. Most people couldn't give a shit about.
Well, you don't know that.
Well, I would rather. I care about Souths more than I care about where any other team is. For the sake of this show, obviously, I understand, but
that's fair.
Yeah,
that's fair. I think it'd be interesting to see. What the ladder would look like if there were no buys. It would just make it so much easier to just pitch, okay, he's here. Gus Gould was talking about, I think last week on, is it the 6 Again podcast he has?
6 tackles with Gus.
6 tackles with Gus. Let us know in the comment section. Do you like the buys, the fact that you get 2 points and you've got to when you look at the ladder, you've got to count where your team is? Or would you rather get rid of the buys and when your team does have a buy, they don't get 2 points? So technically, if someone's close to them and gets a win, they can go up and you can go down. Okay, on to the next game. The Raiders versus the Dragons. Raiders defeat the Dragons 28-24. Look, a really brave performance again from the Dragons. I thought they fought super, super hard. Raiders, once again, was just enough. Just enough. They started the game quite well. Again, if I recall correctly, I'm fucking having a blur now. They started and then Dragons came back towards the end.
Them back in late. So
that's been a bit of a pattern for you guys. It's starting quite well and then getting dragged back into it. But look, a win's a win. You just rank, now all of a sudden you guys are on 13 wins. I think 14 wins and Storm are on 11 wins. So essentially the minor premiership dare I say it, locked up. Dare I say it?
How good is that? I mean, it's not locked up, but
I'd say you're pretty close.
Mate, it's
You got
3 wins.
4 more games in Canberra. I think you've only got 2 games.
Pretty
2
locked
buys. 2 teams outside.
It's a
the
guarantee.
Yeah.
It's guaranteed that the Raiders win the
don't
comp.
give me that shit.
It's like when you had Teddy locked up.
Oh, that was harsh. 14 wins compared to the Storm 11.
Why sour, Roo? Why sour a good thing?
Look, winning, I think that the good thing that you're starting strong, so there's that. Yes, there is the question. I would just want to see them against a top tier side, almost just to get the measure of, are they just treading water because they are going so well? I tend to lean more in that camp that they are just treading water because they're going so well. But yeah, another win, really well done. Obviously, there was a controversial call with the forward pass, like terrible call. The Sloan try should have been a try. But I actually think, I thought Trey Mooney was onside in that kick chase that he scored. I thought he was onside. So, look, I understand Dragons fans' frustration. I really do. But at the same time, like that was like, what, 20 minutes into the game or something like that?
Very early.
It's very early. Like, I get it. It ended up being the difference. But, you know, I feel like you can point to quite a lot of other things that you could look at and go, that's the reason why, you know, we ended up losing the game. I'll go to you first. Timmy, how you feeling, mate?
Yeah, well, I mean, like on that one, it was absolutely a try. But again, the Trey Mooney one, that was, you know, possibly a try as well. At the end of the day, like, the Raiders got out to quite a big lead. Had there been an extra try on the board by the Dragons, well, the Raiders probably approached the end of the game differently as well. So, like, again, bad call, but did it change the result? No, I don't think it did.
The Dragons made like 13 errors or something, 67% completion.
They're funny on the Raiders. Like, the last 3 weeks, they've got out to good-sized leads and they've let the Tigers, the Knights, and now the Dragons back into games and given them a sniff at the back end of the game, which is something that we need to address. And, you know, that sort of foot on the throat, when you get to that lead, finish them off, win the game. But at the same time, even when sides have got back in, aside from a few nervy moments, I felt pretty comfortable. No, like, we'll defend it. It might only be a 4 or 6 point lead, but we're good enough to complete, kick long, and shut a game down, albeit a narrow margin by the end. But I felt pretty comfortable, but it is becoming a bit of a pattern.
I tend to think that it's just treading water in a almost. Because you got to think from the Raiders' perspective, you're 3 wins ahead of next best in the competition. It would be, and I know people like to think it's a perfect world and you get up for every game and it's just all, you know, everyone just, you know, whether you're playing, you know, the Bulldogs in a top of the table clash or you're playing, you know, the Dragons that are struggling at the moment, that you're as red hot as both games. But there is human nature.
The Raiders will lose a game. They've got a pretty soft run home. They've had a lot of games in camp, but there'll be a game there where they lose by probably 12 or 14 points to a side they should be beating. Like, as you said, you don't get up for every game.
Yeah, honestly, it's just the way it is. Yeah. Now, don't get me wrong, we've seen teams go on these big runs. But, like, for example, if you're a Melbourne Storm fan, remember the year when you went 19 in a row and then you dropped off at the end of the year? It's like, it's just, you can't be up for the whole year.
And I think when you have that 12 or 14 point loss, Ricky will just rub his hands and go, beautiful.
Yeah, awesome.
Needed that.
He'll want the wake-up call.
Yeah, so they got the bye this week. Then they go Parramatta, Newcastle, Dragons, Manly. Then they've got a bye in round 24. So, like, their season starts round 24. They go Penrith, Tigers, Dolphins into finals.
Wow, what a run. So, basically, they need to go, like, they could lose 3 or 4 games and still win the minor premiership, because you need Storm to win every single game and you can still drop 3 games.
Yeah. Well, mate, even like over the next 4 weeks between these 2 buys, they go Canberra, Wollongong, Canberra.
Jeez.
Like, they're in a good little spot.
Yeah, they're $1.80 to win the minor premiership, so odds on. And I just think they've been winning a lot of games recently. Not pretty wins, but they've still been getting the job done. I don't think there's like a better time buy going around than this week right now for the Raiders. I think they look like they kind of need a little bit of a week off, bit of a freshen up. And, if they use that well, like their best footy is definitely good enough to sew up the minor premiership and go on a bit of a tilt.
Well, thanks to Random Stats, guys. He's got the numbers out. So the Raiders were the longest odds to win the premiership at $67, with the Dragons at 61, the Knights at 61, the Dolphins at 61, Titans 56, the Warriors 51, Tigers 46, Eels 41, Cowboys 26, and then, it goes through there. But yeah, $67.
And right now they are $6. Shortest they've been in probably since the 2019 season.
Wow. What an incredible year. So I'm telling you, this forward pack in finals footy, it's a concern for other teams. It is a concern because even the fact that they're in a bit of a lull at the moment and they're still obviously winning games, it's the fact that they're coming out and they're still putting a bunch of points on teams that, like, the Dragons were desperate this week. And I like the fact that, yes, okay, it's a little bit of a lull, but when you look at the stats, like, they still completed at 84% completion rate, had more ball, more post-contact meters, 6 line breaks to 3, more tackle breaks. Their average set was about 6 meters longer. The kick return meters were much more, way quicker play. The ball's 3.22 seconds compared to 3.47 seconds. More offloads, just more everything. And so when I look at those stats and the fact that they're squeaking by, like, this is them in a lull. What are they going to be like? And
it's one of those years, Kempy, where you go, all right, like, is this Canberra Raiders squad a premiership winning team? They don't necessarily have, they're not world beaters, they don't have superstars, but as you said before, it's a different year to other years. Like, last year you had these 2 superstar teams in the Panthers and Storm who were leaps and bounds above the rest. The year before, the Broncos and the Panthers, they were leaps and bounds above the rest. It could just be that year where, all right, you've got a side who turns up every week. You don't have bad performances, and it's a grindy side. They've got enough points in, and there's a bit of X factor, especially now we're seeing like Kayo Weeks. But it might not take a superstar team to win it this season. It might be a year of the grindy, gutsy team, the spirited team. And I mean, between the Doggies, what they're doing, what the Raiders are doing, that's the way it's shaping.
And I think with the changes in the ruck speed over the last 4 or 5 years, I just don't discount the fact that this Raiders forward pack is unbelievable. Like, it is, I wouldn't say substantially better than the next, but it's a pretty fair way better than the next forward pack. And so what have we learned over the last 5 years, especially the last 2 or 3 years? If you control the ruck, you win most games because it is so quick.
Yeah, and especially when you get to finals, you won't get as many 6 games. You won't get as many penalties. Like, the Raiders are more suited to finals than most of these other sides, in my opinion.
And the biggest threat you guys have to you, which is the Melbourne Storm, you guys have the team to deal with that most of the time.
They've got a superstar spine, but I'm confident the Raiders beat them through the middle and don't really give those blokes a platform to weave their magic.
Yeah,
that's
so it's super exciting year. It really is. We've already spoken about Kayo Weeks, guys, so go to the Hungriest player if you want to hear us speak about Kayo Weeks. Just in time of Timoko to have the game that he needed. I felt like this year, I think he started pretty well. He's been a little bit quiet, still been solid, but I feel like this is just the game he needed just to get back in the rhythm of things. Because, like, you've got to remember, we're talking about a Kiwi centre that before all these weapons that have just been unearthed, he was your strike centre, And so what's exciting about that is that you've unearthed all these extra weapons and then you get Tomoko back at his best just before finals footy. Like, that's good.
I think it was maybe last year or whether it was early this year, but he was carrying an injury, ongoing for a long time, but he looks back to his best, doesn't he? Holy dude.
Yeah, because you'd be forgiven for forgetting this guy's a beast running the ball, like tackle breaking machine, and you haven't really seen that for a little bit. And so if he can find form heading into finals, and also Sebastian Kris as well, mate, talk about a bloke that just not out of nowhere because he's done this before, but geez, he's good form. He's a bloody good player. He's not the fastest, he's not the strongest or whatever, but he's just got a bit of everything. Like, he just makes it work.
But it also, mate, it wasn't that long ago. It was out of nowhere. The Raiders had to convince him to play the game, didn't they? I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, he took a year off.
He went home.
Yeah, he took a year off.
Yeah,
took a year off, which is, just so good. Seeing his Xavier Savage in full flight on the weekend too, there was a few moments where he just got up to that top speed and you just going, Jesus.
Well, and that's it. Like, sit there and go, we're lacking strike, but then in reality, Timoko back in form, Xavier Savage, what we're seeing from Kayo Weeks, we know Ethan Strange is a great ball running 5'8", so there is strike there.
And even when you talk about, in this game in particular, and I know the Dragons don't have the biggest and baddest pack in the world, but you had Hudson Young was at Origin. Josh Papali'i was Origin. Tarpon only played 29 minutes.
Which that's
their
where
3 best forwards that either weren't there or only played half an hour in this game.
Yeah, and that's where this lull, I think, is planned from Ricky Stewart.
Yeah.
Because, the fact that you're playing Tarpon and his minutes been going down,
his minutes have dropped the last month quite a bit. And then, that's an extreme example. But as I said, he's playing it and they're still winning games.
Yeah, so I think Ricky's looking at it going, listen, let's just get through this. Doesn't matter if we win by 2 points. As long as when finals footy rolls around, Tarpon goes back to being the big dog we know he can be. And you know what? The crazy thing is you got a guy like Tarpon who is, having 20 minutes. All good. Corey Horsburgh will come out and absolutely rip and tear. So Horsburgh, 14 runs, 164 metres, 67 post contact, 1 tackle break and offload, 35 tackles, 0 misses. Like, that's the depth of this forward
Mate,
pack.
Trey Mooney, I thought Trey Mooney was outstanding in this.
Yep, absolutely.
Came on, didn't play huge minutes again, but
Decent ball playing at times.
yeah, he was the ball playing lock and did a bloody good job of it as well.
Yeah, which is like, again, the depth of this forward pack is insane. When you're at full strength and Hosking and Sasangi are not in your starting side, that's scary.
Yeah.
That's scary. Like, you still got Hudson Young and
Matty Nicholson
to come back into the side.
When's Nicholson due back?
It was about a 10-week injury. It's been a fair while, so be getting
Christ,
close.
that'll be a headache working out what you do there.
Yeah.
Mate, look at this knock from Hosking. 135 metres, 47 post contact, a tackle break, 41 tackles, 0 misses on the edge. Bloody hell.
It
That
says
is a knock.
it says around NRL.com around 23, so
Okay.
it's still a few more weeks.
But yeah, just on that Trey Mooney one, like, again, if you get a guy in there that can ball play, that's just going to create so much more space for your edge back roles that are already killing it with not that much space because you've got no ball players through the middle. Geez, like, if you need an example of how good the culture is there, Trey Mooney is such a perfect example because, like, he could get a pretty good wicket from most other clubs. And, you know, usually in these situations, to keep the junior, you go, listen, can you take unders, but we'll put you on the bench each week and make sure you're playing NRL. Mate, he hasn't been playing NRL most of the games this year.
He re-signed, was it last year or the year before, on a 2 or 3 year deal? And like, I got a lot of respect for a guy staying at the club and whatnot, but like, I thought it was a borderline stupid decision because like, he just wouldn't be able to get into this first grade side. He hasn't really.
Yeah.
And there was Canterbury, there was a few other clubs that were really keen on him.
It was about a year ago.
Year ago, yeah. Like, full credit to Ricky Stewart, what he's doing down there. Like, I haven't looked at Tom Starling and Jaden Brayley and go, why would you both do that?
Yeah.
But they're buying in.
But they're buying in. And like Trey Mooney hasn't, when he comes in and plays, doesn't seem like he's sooking, frustrated or anything like that. Mate, by the time he hits his straps, I've become such a believer in Ricky Stewart's ability to develop forwards. Like, think about what he's going to be when he, like, look what he did with Tarpanet. Tarpanet had all this talent. It got to the point where Tarpanet nearly left.
Yep.
And then he just went, boom, one of the best forwards in the competition.
Chevy Stewart's another one. Like, I don't know if you guys have. I haven't heard anything about him leaving or looking elsewhere or anything.
True.
And then you sit there now and see what Weeks is doing. You're like, how's Chevy squeezing into this?
Yeah, how are you
squad
going to
without
get into this
injury?
footy side,
Yeah.
realistically?
And Weeks is what, 23, 24, so something like he's
very
older.
young. Yeah.
Just an outstanding.
You know, like all the
squad.
excitement coming off a few weeks ago, you know, these kids in the, you know, Blues and Queensland under 19, like, he was man of the match in that last year.
Yeah.
And it's still he's still just sitting there waiting for an opportunity.
Yeah. Mate, they're in such a good spot. And, like, you know, if Sanders can just become everything that, you know... When was the last time the Raiders had one of the best young sevens in the competition at the club? Very long time ago. I'm trying to think, like, your seven was Aiden Caesar and Jackie Whiten when you made the grand final. Aiden Caesar obviously came from the Titans and it was solid, good, did well obviously at the Raiders. But I'm trying to think, when was the last time you guys genuinely had, like, one of the better sevens in the competition?
2011, Sam Williams.
The great Sammy Williams. There you go. Long time ago. Long time ago. Mate, it is so exciting. So, again, I cannot wait to see this team in finals. You know, getting 2 swings at the down in Canberra. Like,
So good.
yeah, I mean, how do they not make at least a prelim?
We going for a trip to the capital, Roo, or what? You boys can come too if you want.
Yeah, we'll try and make it.
Yeah, I'll go down.
Go for a look.
That's the beauty of the Raiders
for a
too.
walk.
Like, if they finish 1 or 2, they got that home final week 1. Like, they have a bye in round 24. Like, all the other teams are going to have to play 8 weeks across that period. Canberra will only play 6.
Well, Canberra, you could argue, like, it's the freshest they've been all season heading into finals footy because of the multiple buys they've got.
Perfect.
So, yeah, look, they got the job done. That's the the most important thing. And I think when you look at the minutes at Tarpanet, this does seem to probably be all planned in regards to they look a little bit flatter than usual, but it's the end of the year. You want to peak them back up in finals footy. Onto the Dragons. I've got to say, I listened to that press conference after, and I understand where Ricky Stewart's coming from. Like, you know, painting the whole media with one brush, I probably, you know, not all on board with that. But I've got to say, I listened to that press conference before Ricky Stewart had his comments about the journalist that asked that question. And as soon as the journalist asked that, I couldn't believe that they asked that question. You know, the fans booing Kyle when he kicked. The fans boo every kicker from another team. And see, that's what gives the media or some people in the media a bad name, because you're needling Shane Flanagan with a question that's so out of context intentionally to try and get a reaction out of him. And I've got to, in that regard, I agree with Ricky Stewart, and good on him for sticking up, because, look, we've been critical of Kyle Flanagan on this podcast. We've been critical of Shane Flanagan. But to needle a father, telling him that the fans were booing Kyle Flanagan, implying because of the situation rather than the fact that he's just a goal kicker from somewhere else, that's really low in my opinion. That's really low. That really frustrated me, and I can understand why Shane Flanagan, he handled it really professionally, but he has every right to be a bit frustrated with that because that's an intentional question to try and get a rise out of a father. Not a coach, a father of a player. That question never would have been asked if Kyle wasn't his son. And you might make the argument, well, that's what you get if your son's in the team. Maybe you might get extra pressure. That doesn't excuse people intentionally needling a father to try and get a reaction out of him. Boys, I'd love to get your thoughts on it.
Yeah, it was a shit go. There's that part of some individuals in media that do stuff like that, and I'm just like, fuck, this just helps us.
Yeah.
Just go about things the right way.
People
see straight through that shit.
Yeah.
I don't think you're turning a light on for people that are going to like I think the people read between the lines nowadays. I think audiences are smarter, smart enough to work out now what journalists are doing in situations like that.
Yeah, it's super disappointing. It's just like, and this is coming from, we've all been critical of Kyle. You can be critical of a rugby league player without intentionally trying to, I guess, abuse that relationship of Kyle and Shane being father and son. What do you reckon, Timmy?
Yeah, I loved Ricky Stewart's response to it. And that's the thing, like Sticky said, he's a better footballer than he gets given credit for. He led the charge and they came back into the game off the back of him. And I think they're right. Like, he cops a lot of stick, Kyle Flanagan, and he never really chirps back or says anything. He has the odd excited try celebration, but that's fine, as he's entitled to do. I just think he cops such unnecessary criticism at times. Like, the Dragons are a side and they're up and down, they have poor performances, and he's the number 7. Of course he's going to cop blame for it, and he needs to. There needs to be accountability around that. But at the same time, with Kyle Flanagan, at the start of the year, the Dragons had one of the best edges in the competition on the left there, and he was orchestrating all of it. When King Tonga came in for Lachlan Ilias, Kyle Flanagan had to go to the right edge. Guess which side's doing the damage now? The right edge. And Moses Sully's coming into the game, and the right winger, and Tyrell Sloan is coming into the game. As soon as he moves edges, like, that speaks volumes about the impact Kyle Flanagan's having on this team.
Yeah, I've been saying for ages. The other thing with Flano is that people just completely ignore, like, you're not paying him $900K.
No.
You know why you can sign Gutho, Val and Cook? Because you're paying your halfback not much. And like, Kyle's not out here telling you he's $1 million halfback. He's one of the more honest guys in rugby league. He's like, I can do, this is my skill set. That's what I can do. I won't always do it at a high click. Hence why you don't pay me $900K.
And all right, you want to sit there and hammer Nico Hines because he's $1 million man, he's not performing. Does it work the other way around with Flano?
You give more grace because he's on.
Yeah, everyone wants to compliment the guys they sign and changing the culture. It's like, you can do that because you're not paying overs to get a halfback to the club.
Yeah, and look, if they had have lost against the Eels and lost against the Dragons, I do think he should have got dropped as a 7, but they didn't. They beat the Eels, and they were super competitive against the best team in the competition. Regardless of whether you want to say the Raiders are at their best or not, it's still the number 1 team in the competition. Matter of fact, the Raiders really should have beaten the Dragons, and I don't say this disrespectfully, probably with where they are in regards to at right now, maybe 28-6. And people would have been blown up with that. But that's actually how far they are from each other. It's first friggin' 13th or something.
Like, halfback is such a weird position in that it is the position that consistently gets over the, $1 million contract mark. And, it just with some halfbacks, if when their team's good, it's just the team's good. It's not them. They're a system guy. When the team's poor, it's not them. It's the guys around them that are doing it. It's like, fuck, pick a side of the fence you want to be on.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think he's responded quite well. I was of the belief if they lost the Eels and the Raiders, I think that you had to just bring Ilias in. It was a no-brainer. But it doesn't, I just think that sometimes, and I know Dragons fans aren't going to like to hear this, or at least some of them, it's an easy out, just to blame it all on Kyle Flanagan. Just to go, Kyle Flanagan. Now, granted, some of it is Kyle Flanagan's fault if they lose. He's the 7, but not all of it. It's a bit more nuanced than that. No, to be honest, I think the wider audience are aware of that. There's just a loud, and I actually thought his first half was quite poor. I didn't think he was great in the first half, but I do think he was a big mover and shaker in the comeback. You're losing by 4 points to the number 1 team in the competition. That's almost a win, in my opinion, where the Dragons are at. Now, that doesn't mean his position is safe for the rest of the year at all. He's got to continue to earn that right. I mean, he's also, in the same week, the CEO has come out and publicly said that he is not necessarily the long-term 7 for the club. He's more of a 14. I think he said 14, which I think Kyle's would be a bloody good NRL 14, like a bloody good NRL 14. But anyway, just wanted to talk about that.
Just on that note too, like going back to, the value he brings based on what he's paid. Like you've also had $1 million halfback for the 4 years before this. The best place you're in at round 18 was 10th instead of 11th now.
Yeah.
Like you spent a fortune on a 7 to have him there. You didn't like that either. You complained about that you were too ball-centric around this dude. You move him on. You get a cheaper guy at good value. You're in the same position.
Yeah. And you've got money to bring other people to the club. So, yeah, there's nothing wrong with being critical of Kyle Flanagan. I just think that sometimes it's a bit much. People, instead of just being reasonable about the fact there's a 7, his team is losing, therefore let's critique his game. It's just, let's all just blame everything on Kyle.
Critique him for what he is,
yeah,
not what you want him to be.
Yeah, absolutely. In regards to performances, just one of those games that got away from them. They just that first probably 30 minutes or so where they just allowed a couple of tries in that they obviously didn't want to, because outside of that, now granted, yes, did the Raiders towards the end there maybe take their foot off the pedal potentially, but there's a lot of good signs there, and there's fight. They're on the same page. They're still working for their coach. It's just about consistency now for the Dragons. If they can play like that each week, they're going to beat most bottom 8 sides. And I think at their best, the Dragons are 8th. That's their best. At worst, who knows? So it's just a matter of making sure. Look, the biggest thing that hurt the Dragons season is this. Earlier in the year, there were some really close games. They absolutely should have closed out, and they didn't. If they had they probably would have been in a much better position. So what can they learn from that? At the very least, the back end of the season, in games they can win, make sure they close them out. That's really what's going to happen for the rest of the season for the Dragons.
Yeah.
I don't have them in my 8 this year, and I think that in the early season, when those games, those 2-point losses or 4-point losses or whatever, I think that's probably cost them their season.
That's cost them massively, yeah, for sure. And if they would have, which they should have picked up 2 wins there.
Yeah.
We said it at the time, and I think it's going to prove massive towards the back end of the season on the ladder in particular.
Oh, with how tight it is. Oh. Yeah, massively. In regards to performances, who stood out for you with the Dragons, mate?
I actually thought on the wing, Tyrell Sloan.
Mate.
I thought he had a great game. Couple of tries. He had a disallowed try as well.
Forward pass was called.
First one,
back, yeah.
So he could have had a hat trick.
Yeah.
A bit of noise around him, kind of been given permission to shop around. I just thought, he's not perfect, and there's a couple of areas of his game which, got targeted under the high ball a few weeks ago, but I think this was a pretty good response given the noise around him in the last little bit.
He was fantastic, wasn't he? That combo with Moses Sully come along, the big powerhouse Sully with the soft hands. I think he's actually been a little bit underwhelming at times this season, Sully, off the back of a couple of really, really good years, but starting to find a bit of form. He did move edges this year to accommodate Val Holmes, and just that deft tip on. He tracks so many defenders. Like when he has Tyrell Sloan on his edge, he scored 2 down that edge. He set one up. He should have had a hat trick. It was great, Sloan.
Yeah. It's isn't it so Sloan though? Like
so
you finally you draw a line in the sand and go, okay, we just can't afford this inconsistency. And he comes back the next week and shows you why he's got all the potential to be one of the best outside backs in the competition. Now, there are whispers. I don't know how true they are, but I read a report that Panthers might be interested.
Yeah,
would be super interested to see that. If he went over there on minimum and bought all the way into their system, what they could develop there. He was absolutely outstanding. Absolutely outstanding.
The other one I'd be interested in, the Storm, obviously losing Grant Anderson. They've lost a few other guys like, young Tanumapaya and whatnot over the last few years. Like, they've got to have an outside back spot that they're going to grab someone at some point. I'd love to see it be Sloan, like a Sloan or a Campiera, one of these guys that there's talent there that just haven't been able to put it together at whatever club they're at. I think Sloan would fit it really well.
Yeah. Now, speaking of talent, Finau on the other wing, mate, he's ball running. Jeez.
Yeah.
He is. He's not actually that big, tall-wise, but he is powerful in contact. Super powerful. So he had 20 runs, 217 metres, 43 post-contact, 5 tackle breaks, 1 line break. If they can continue to develop him, so how old is he? He is 23, so he's a bit old, like as in older compared to teenagers. But there's plenty of talent there to be a meter reader, Tyre-ish winger. Obviously not on Tyre's level, but that is. There's a lot of talent there, a lot of talent.
Good finisher too.
Yeah, scored the 4 tries in
4
that
tries
trial.
in Charity Shield, yeah.
Yep. I just took note of that. Like, just if you've got a backline of at full strength, Val Holmes, Sully, Finau, who would be the other winger at full strength?
Tui Pilotu.
Every single one of them is a 200 plus a game outside back.
You said like they're missing a lot at the moment, the Dragons, and Corey Allen had to shift to centre for this one because of all the injuries and Val out to Origin, and he was getting a bit of a bath at centre defensively, let in a couple of tries. Like, you add these sort of things and the amount of injuries they've had, it's, there was certainly some positives for the Dragons.
They also had jersey 19 in this game was Halangahu. He must be getting close to a debut.
Surely.
Which I'm telling the Dragons, they're on the edge of a really exciting squad because they're going to have these young forwards that are going to come in. Obviously, losing Jack de Bellin's a bit of a dagger, but I think long term it'll be better for them to keep these young guys and lose them.
Yeah, without going down another subject, but like it just concerns me that as they build, and then Gutho, Cookie, like all these older veterans of the game that very much the back end of their career, they go. And look, maybe players come through and that's fine, but I'm like, if they do build towards top 8 next year or two, then all these blokes retire. But I'd want to hope they're coming through.
At least they've got some gun young forwards, because like right now, every single one of their gun young forwards is either injured or not here.
Yep.
Unfortunately,
or you don't know who they are yet. Is the other one too,
But like Hamish Stewart, the Couchman brothers, like that's half a forward pack.
And on the flip side, hopefully the leadership experience of these veterans that they've brought to the club are passing on to these blokes.
I will say, Emre Gula, that just hasn't seemed to work out the way the Dragons would have hoped. Like on the weekend, just in attack, mate.
Mate, he's weird with his front row forwards sometimes, Flanner. Like Blake Laurie, whenever I watch him, I think his handy's
decent.
good.
Yeah.
Flano just doesn't seem to like him for whatever reason. I don't know what it is. Emre Gula, I've always thought in Canberra he was always good as well. But yeah, it hasn't. But gets David Clement there, falls in love with him in a heartbeat. And he's been playing good footy, to be fair.
Clement's been pretty good the last month.
2 months have been big. He's flown under the radar.
25 minutes, Emre Gula for one run.
Yeah, it's just not good enough. I thought Michael Molo was really good. I thought he was really good. Really interesting. Obviously, the younger brother of Francis, I think.
I believe so.
But I thought he was outstanding. Really, really good. And he was playing on an edge for a bit, wasn't he?
Yep.
Playing on an edge, which is interesting because they seem to have moved off Leilua. Suarez got one side locked.
Leilua's got injured last week. Fatala Mariner was named there and he withdrew pre-game. I'm not sure why, if he was dropped or what happened, but lots of, like Toby Couchman got injured, so he was playing on the edge for a bit. They've had a lot of injuries on the edge.
But like they seem to have been less red hot on Leilua.
They don't seem to trust him with big minutes.
Oh, definitely. It's changed.
It's just like, it's interesting to watch because it does, if Molo can be as good as he was on the weekend, every single weekend, all of a sudden you've got Sua Molo, Couchman moves back into the middle, Hamish Stewart at 13, then Couchman brother in the front row as well. He could be the two brothers, or is he on the edge?
Yeah, he could be there, yeah.
And then all of a sudden you've got this, because I feel like without Leilua, you've got to fill that edge back row role. And so all of a sudden, if Molo can fill that and you've got Sua there, Stewart takes DeBellin's 13 jersey, Couchman brothers could play 10 and 8, or, you've got Loco, Pacifica Tonga there as well.
I think Halangahu will be a round one starter next year in Vegas.
Well, yeah, okay, so we'll go Halangahu with Toby Couchman.
Yep.
All of a sudden, that's a really exciting young forward pack, And it's I just wanted to put that into focus for Dragons fans. It's a bit of a tough time, but at full strength with all your young guns in, you've got one of the most exciting young forward packs in the competition. As I said, just a reminder, Molo on one edge, Sura on the other, who's a more experienced veteran, Couchman at 8, and what was the guy you said? Halangahu, and Hamish Stewart at 13. Like that's a super exciting young forward
Plus
pack.
Dylan Egan.
I didn't even bloody say Dylan, and he's on an edge as well.
Yeah.
So Molo could be coming off the bench.
Yeah, I don't think you'll see a Couchman on the edge next year.
Yeah.
Unless injuries. Yeah, I think it'll be Halangahu and Dylan Egan.
And so when was the last time you could say about the Dragons with this forward pack like that? It's exciting about the youth coming through. It's been a while. So there's that to look forward to. Okay, on to the next game. The Melbourne Storm defeat the Cowboys. 26-20. And this is brought to you by Good Day Health. Go to Be Good Health, cowboys.com.au. Grab your good day. Use code DMP for 10% off. You pair that with subscription, you get 20% off. They've also got daylights, which is great. Rehydration. 8 in 10 people in Australia are dehydrated, so get your daylights as well. Go to begoodhealth.com.au. Okay, Cowboys get defeated by the Storm. Melbourne's 26-20. To be honest, I actually think both teams can take a bit away from this. I really do. You know, Melbourne Storm are missing a bunch of people. Cowboys are missing a bunch of players. I thought the Cowboys were really brave. Granted, if you wanted to get super nitpicky, you could be nitpicky. But where the Cowboys are in their season, they just need the team to turn up and just rip and tear and hang in there. And I thought the Melbourne Storm had some of their, second-tier players just really stand up and kill it. So, yes, disappointing for the Cowboys. They were desperate for a win. With the Melbourne Storm, they're playing a desperate Cowboys side, desperate for a win. So I don't think it's with so many players missing, with everything going on at the Cowboys right now, I actually don't think you can be too harsh on either side. I really don't. Good win from Melbourne Storm. Had some guys, Meany was absolutely incredible. I mean, if you ever need an example of how far a player can come in their development at Melbourne Storm, go back, look at Meany when he first arrived at the Melbourne Storm, then go watch that game against the Cowboys. He was absolutely phenomenal. So look, tough loss for the Cowboys, but at the same time, they're playing the Melbourne Storm. It is what it is. That's where they're at right now. What do you reckon, Roo?
Yeah, sorry to be boring, but there just isn't that much to take out of this game. Melbourne, they're missing a heap of players. They found a way to win. Cowboys are also missing a heap of players, found a way to compete with the Melbourne Storm. I just don't look into it too. I don't think the Storm would be stoked with the win. I don't think the Cowboys would be all that disappointed with the loss, realistically. I just think it's just classic buy-round footy this game.
Yeah, bit of buy-round footy. There were some little takeaways that, for me anyway. I think it reaffirmed Purdue needs to stay in the centres for a couple of years. It reaffirmed for me, I don't know why they're even considering Clifford leaving. I think that they're a better side with Clifford in it. Watching Purdue with a bit extra space out in that centre hit the fucking gas was a special thing. That guy is a talent. Do not rush him into the halves. Let him build his game up. He was okay in the halves, but within a couple of games going back to centre, he scores a friggin' absolute live wire try. I think keep him in the centres, let him develop his game. He's going to be one of the best centres in the competition if you give him that, then slowly move him into the halves. That's probably my biggest takeaway from the Cowboys.
Yeah. Said you can't be too critical of either. They were both missing half their sides. The Cowboys didn't have half their spine playing. The Storm didn't have 3 of their spine playing, so you don't be too critical. But Purdue, holy dooly, that acceleration.
My God.
For that try, you just went, shit, this bloke's talented. And look, it was on Joe Chan, and Scotty Drinkwater was interviewed at halftime. He goes, yeah, look, we probably need to go a little bit more at the back row playing centre and get him these one-on-ones. But I'm with you. You're definitely keeping it centre. Long term, I'm intrigued to see where his career pans out, because he's got this lethal running game. It's probably 5'8", but... And it's not going to happen at the Cowboys while Drinky's there, but I see a fullback in him. Look, I don't know if he has any experience there or how he goes under high ball and all that, but he's quick. In any sort of broken play in any space, he's just going to put the afterburners on people and score length of the field tries.
Tall under the high ball as well.
Yeah, he's got ball playing to him. I think he'd make a tremendous fullback, but yeah, for the time being, centre's the spot.
Do you try? Sorry.
No, I was just going to say, all the optics look like a fullback to me as well. Yeah. But that's not going to happen realistically. We all know that.
Do you try to use him to put pressure on Drinky? Because the worry I have with Drinky, and he was good on the weekend, he's got no pressure on him. And because think about how we're just talking then, there's no way Purdue goes to fullback. I wonder whether pressure on Drinky will be the best thing for the club.
Could be.
I wonder whether you allude with Peyton in a preseason, Drinky, yes, okay, you're the best attacking fullback in the comp essentially, but the defence needs to get sorted ASAP. And you've got a guy like Purdue who genuinely might make Drinky think twice, geez, he is pretty friggin' talented. Granted, I don't think he's Drinky's better at the moment. But you know what I'm saying? Do you use that to a degree?
Yeah, it's an interesting way to look at it. I like the idea of him playing 5'8", so I just don't think it's a mid-season thing. I think if you give him a whole pre-season there, I think it'd be really interesting him and Dearden together.
Build his body for it and that.
If I was to bet, I reckon that's what they'll do next year.
Yeah, okay. I don't know why they have so little faith in Clifford. I just want to see a whole, I don't know. I know he's not a world beater, I get it all. But Dearden and Clifford... That's a good, for the next couple of years while Purdue learns the game or whatever, because I do agree with you though. If he had a full preseason there, maybe he'd go better at 6. But do you need to rush it? He's so young.
And on that note, I agree with you about Clifford too. But there's obviously something they don't like there. It's been like this for years now. Like he's been linked to the Raiders. He's been linked to a few clubs now. I don't know what it is with Jake Clifford, why they're not a huge fan. But, yeah, I can see them moving him back there next year.
I look at Clifford and I go, well, no wonder you've got no confidence at times. You got dropped after I think they'd won 4 from 6.
Yeah.
Although they lost one game and then he got dropped. And that's no one's fault but Peyton's. And don't get me wrong, I'm very forgiving of Peyton because I feel like they're not playing his style of footy. But I feel like this is one area where he hasn't handled his halves the best. I feel like he's pulled the trigger too early to get Dearden into 7, to move the rookie into 6, and it just hasn't worked out. And so now you've got this weird situation where Clifford is wearing the 6 jersey with Dearden at 7, but let's be real here, he's probably the 7, where he probably doesn't feel as confident. I reckon if you're to identify one error in the season from the Cowboys, it has been the handling of the halves, in my opinion.
And the Cowboys don't need Clifford to be a world beater. He's got his long kicking game. He's a solid body in defence. Just go in and play your role, kick long. He also does create. He's got a really strong running game. We saw it on the weekend. He scored a try running a line. I think it was Johnny Bateman maybe for setting up a try.
Second week in a row he's done that with his running game.
He plays direct. He's got the long kicking game. He's solid enough in D. Again, misses the odd one, every half in the comp does. So I'm with you. At the very least, he's rock solid and he plays a role for them. They've got Drinky, they've got Dearden, they've got Purdue, they've got points in them, they've got Nanai. They don't need him to be creating all the points.
And I look at that team and I go, you just need a good, solid 7. The last thing you need is more attacking flair in the halves. You've got Drinkwater, who is literally statistically the best fullback in the competition in attack.
Yeah.
So I'm just... it doesn't make any sense, this Clifford wishy-washy situation. Hopefully they stick with him. Even if you just said to Clifford, all right, we'll give you the next 12 months and then Purdue's going to slot in there. But I saw reports mid-year that Duffy was also told he's surplus to requirements. Yep. Mate, Duffy's a bloody good young player. And so in an area where you're still unsure where all the pieces are going to land, why would you even consider getting... Duffy might end up being the best of the lot. You would know better than anyone. He's a bloody good...
I think he's good. I really like him. And I was very surprised that he only lasted 3 or 4 weeks or whatever it was. I know you got to be winning games of football and whatnot, but I feel like at the start of the season they made a big decision and then they went away from Duffy. Then they made another big decision, Purge, and then they went away from it. It's pick something.
Well, put it this way. They went... I guess you could argue there was pressure at the start because of the way they started. So, okay, I'll cop the Duffy one. He's super young. I don't want a young player being hounded and losing confidence. Sure. All right, he gets dropped. So you either make the decision to bring Clifford in. He has success. And then for no reason whatsoever, you go, you know what, let's bring the rookie that's having arguably could be the Dalium Centre of the Year. That's how good he was going. He probably wouldn't have won it, but he would have been in the top 5 for me. Let's move him to 6. Let's move Dearden to 7 and drop Clifford. Now it's this absolute schmozzle of what is their best 17 and who goes where.
Who goes where? Yeah.
I hope it is Clifford at 6, at least for this season. The problem is their season's probably over. That's a tough thing. What do you reckon, mate? What do you reckon about the whole half situation?
Yeah, they've definitely chopped and changed. I thought they were very quick on Duff. I think it was only 2 rounds that they persisted with him at the start of the season before dropping him, which was, I thought, pretty harsh. But I'm with you. I think Clifford, I'd go Clifford and Dearden for the rest of the year. And Purdue, looks far more comfortable and having more of an impact on the game at centre. Less to think about, less pressure on him probably.
More space.
His biggest weapon is his speed. He's able to use that a little bit more at centre and he's played very well there pretty much every game that he's had at centre this year. So I think it's a bit of a no-brainer. Just ease him into the side through the centre position because there's no one else really banging down the door or locking that down at the moment. And then maybe, down the track you can have a look at moving him back into the halves. But I don't think there's any need to do that at the moment given the fact that you got some good depth in the halves as it is.
Well, this is a question I have and I'd love to get Peyton's thoughts for it. So Peyton, if you're watching, just reach out, mate.
In the comments?
In the comment section. just writes fuck you, Kempy. A team that's desperate for defence. Why are we moving rookies into key positions instead of allowing them to develop their game? For example, the amount of times that Wayne Bennett would debut a fullback on the wing and then ease him into it. Roosters used to do it as well. Ease him back into fullback. So that's the question I have for Peyton so you move Purdue in a key position in the halves, okay, but shouldn't the selections be around defence? Because attack's not an issue for you. Then the other question is, and I think Robert Derby, he's got so much talent. He's absolute live wire. But if defence is your main concern and errors, surely you pick. Unfortunately for Derby, he's just had multiple games now where he's had like a lot of errors, and so like. Maybe that's why the Cowboys team isn't responding to Payton, because they're saying, on one hand, you're telling us we needed to sort out defence, but your selections don't actually echo that sentiment. And maybe that's the disconnect between the squad and the coach.
Yeah, I can't make sense of it, mate. Even like Purdue, the way he played at centre early in the year, it's like, it's not broke, so you don't need to fix that. Keep him there. Like I said, easy man. Like you don't want to rush these rookies.
Like Darby's had another 5 errors on the weekend. Yeah. And he's a lovely young man. Got fortunate enough to speak to him a few weeks on the captain's run, but he, unfortunately, just not ready for first grade at the moment.
Yeah.
You know who is ready for first grade? Braden Burns, consistently. And he only gets him when there's an injury. I can't make sense of it. Yeah. And once Valia's back, he's at the moment, he's like 2 to 3 players deep to getting in there. I think he should be in their first choice side.
Yeah.
It's just surprising to me in a team that's desperate for high completion and defence. Like, okay, and maybe it's not the perfect example, but like Michael Maguire, for example, he selected Shibasaki and Jazeski purely on defence. Like, there's no way that anyone heading into this year would say Shibasaki's a better attacking player than Mariner and Piakora than Jazeski in attack. And so that's where I feel like maybe that's why there's a little bit of a discount between the playing group and Payton. And this is all, guys, speculation. There's most likely way more to it. But if I'm Payton, going forward with this squad, I'm purely selecting the best defensive 17, no matter what. Because if I've got a guy like Drinkwater at the back, points are coming. Purdue in the centres, like you got points.
Yep.
Anyway, that's just my thoughts with it. And I sound like I'm being hypercritical. I actually thought they were really brave on the weekend. I thought they really hung in there. So it was. I'm not saying like this was a really bad week for them at all. I thought they were quite brave. I will say, if I'm a team desperate for a good young 7, mate, give Duffy a go. Like, I know he hasn't set the world alight, but he's 21 years old. Get him to the club. Get him in a good system that he might suit a little bit better. I think what can go wrong?
He's carved up Q Cup like with enormous. We spoke at the start of the year, but his try assist last year, 35 or something,
mental
through the roof. So he's done that against man as a 20-year-old. Like, there's something there.
Absolutely, there's something there. We're way too, we rush out halves way too quickly. Like guys like Cleary and Katoa have almost like poisoned the well to a degree where we just expect them to be the full package. Now, in regards to some other boys, we'll speak about Drinky. Like defense is, that's probably going to be his Achilles heel for maybe his whole career. But my God, in attack, this guy, he is one of the most silkiest ball-playing fullbacks I've ever seen in my entire life, literally.
Doesn't that sentence just speak to what you said before as well? Like, I'm sort of at the point where I go to Drinky, it's just always going to be like this. Like, in what world do you not expect guys to
sort
work
of
on that part of their game, you know what I mean? But it's sort of, and maybe I'm in Sydney and I don't see enough of it, but it seems to sort of be the Cowboys culture to some extent.
Well, you can afford to
From
do
the
that.
outside looking in, anyway.
I guess, and I'm with you. Like, you can afford to do that when the rest of your team are dogs in defence. I'll go back to 2000. And sorry for bringing the Broncos up again. I know, fuck you, Kempy, you bring the Broncos up. But
It's a good
it's my
point,
team.
though.
But 2020, you were going to say fuck you anyway, so you may as well be the Broncos. 2023. What did the Broncos do? They said, Reece, make whatever errors you want because we're going to defend the fuck out of them. We'll be the second best defensive team in the comp. And so, like, the Cowboys, they need to go, if they're going to go all the way in with Drinky and say, mate, do whatever you can do because we know you're the guy that can put the points on, they've got to defend those. And that's the problem at the moment, the Cowboys, is they don't have a team to defend those errors. Because it's a good point. But
it feels like it's never changing. Yeah. But then they have that one flash in the pan where defensively they're fantastic. They can do it. They seemingly cared about it then.
Well, there were periods, but also there were periods in this game where they were tough as. It's a tough one. I don't know what the answer is. Do they need an overhaul of the forwards, boys? What's going on?
Yeah. I think they need some fresh faces in there.
Okay.
Yeah. Like, work out who their 13 is long term. Like, just play Cotter as a prop. Probably get a new 13. I mean, who plays? Reed Martin's coming next year. Fresh face for the pack. That'll help. But, yeah, something needs to change.
It's tough. You've got Taumalolo sitting there on a milli.
Wouldn't Reed be just an unreal sign if in a year's time we're going, okay, now they've got that grunt.
Yeah.
Like he was a guy that maybe changed, but they
got Robson.
They thought Bateman was going to be that guy too as well.
He helped a little bit for a period there, but
he did for a little bit, but
it hasn't gone well. But like, for example, they're getting Reed Marnie, but if it can't work with this Reece Robson, who's at a higher level right now than Marnie, well, yeah, I don't know. I think I look at this. I'm almost more excited for the Dragons than I am the Cowboys. Just when I look at their young forward pack, like
I am.
You know what I mean? I just look at this forward pack and I go, even I'm a huge fan of him. Sam McIntyre just hasn't gone to that next level this year. Matter of fact, he's probably taking a little bit of a step back. Last year he was phenomenal. I thought he was outstanding last year for the Cowboys. The weird thing is when I see like glimpses of Kayo O'Donnell and that, like I actually really like what I see with Kayo O'Donnell. McKaylee, he was actually quite good on the weekend, but again, it needs to be every week for him. It's a bit of a flash in the pan sometimes with.
But it's disappointing because we had this argument in the preseason where our argument was who's going to be the break the game open forward. Now he's just looking for forwards.
Yeah. And funnily enough, Thomas McKaylee, the guy we were like, he could be it. He actually was it on the weekend. He had 50 metres, 52 post contact, 3 tackle breaks, 4 offloads, 21 tackles, 0 misses. I mean, Cohen S has good games at periods, but I'd love to know, Cowboys fans, what's your forward pack looking like in 3 or 4 years? That'd be really interesting for me. Like, we look at the Broncos and you can kind of see you've got Bentancur, you've got Willison. We look at the Dragons, you've got a bit of an indication there. I'd love to know, Cowboys, what's that forward pack looking like?
Is Griffin Neem still on the same path we thought he'd be on for all of us?
Taking a bit of a step back. I think they've all taken a bit of a step back, to be honest, this year. I'd love to know what the issue's up there, because I do believe Peyton's under pressure, but I'm not in the camp of like it's all his fault. I feel like there's other things going on there that aren't really working for him, because there's no way that they're not playing Peyton footy. The closest version to Peyton footy that I saw was his first year where they had the second best defence. But you can't hide from the fact that they've gone backwards quite a bit this year. Yeah. So, look, here's what it is. Hopefully they can turn it around. They were brave on the weekend. I'll definitely give them that. Okay, back onto the Storm. As I said, Nick Meaney, my God, his development and, a true measurement of point A to point B, as I said, go look at him when he first arrived to the Storm, and then look at him at fullback, because fullback's probably his best position, Meaney. He's been pushed into centre because they've needed a good defensive centre. At times he's been good. At other times that right side's been struggled a little bit. But being put back into his out-and-out key position, he was phenomenal on the weekend. Like, phenomenal.
Yeah, he was really good at fullback. I think defensively at centre he has a really hard time, I think, for most of this season. I thought for a lot of last year as well, realistically. But yeah, I think fullback is his best spot. When he signed with Melbourne from Canterbury, I sort of thought, I reckon Bellamy's missed the mark here. I was actually reasonably confident on that. He's done some great things down there.
Oh, mate, he's a great story for Craig Bellamy, because he was at the Doggies Knights, couldn't get a start there. Just an outside back with, 181 centimetres tall, maybe 90 kilos, pretty quick. There was nothing really standing out. Like, it wasn't lightning. But then on the weekend, 2 tries, 22 runs, 255 metres, 65 post contact, 8 tackle breaks, 3 line breaks, 2 offloads, 3 tackles. He was absolutely phenomenal.
Yeah, I thought the Storm were going to win quite well, and then when Paps got ruled out, I went, Storm missing a lot here as well. Home game in Townsville, this could be tight. And yeah, Nick Meaney was the difference in the game, wasn't he? He won it.
Pretty much.
Off his own bat. Jerome Hughes was relatively quiet. Ellie Katoa had some good moments, but Tyrone Wishart was a bit disappointing. I thought he might have had a bigger impact at 5'8", but Nick Meaney, he was the one who lifted. He won this game.
Yeah. Thoughts on Joe Chan at centre? I was super surprised with that.
Yeah, that came out of the blue a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think that's a long-term thing.
I think they're just depleted.
Yeah.
Is that a worry for their depth in the back, though, or are they just so smashed?
So they've lost, obviously, coach to Origin. It's Fa'alongo.
Warbrick has got head knock.
Concussion. Howell's had his appendix out or something. They lost... I can't think of his name off the top of my head.
Oh, the Union guy?
Ieremia.
Yeah.
Ieremia, I think his ACL or something. He was unavailable.
You've got the Rugby Sevens dude that's injured too. I forget his name.
Debuted earlier in the year.
Yeah, Moses Leo. I think Leo was maybe...
You already had Wishy at fullback.
Leo was in the extended squad, I think. It was... If Leo was available, I'll double check. It's a weird one.
Because they debuted... how do you say this? Tui Malata Brown.
Yeah.
Good young kid. Looked like an athlete. Definitely looked like an athlete. Jeez.
Yeah, the astute punters out there were on him when he got named on the bench. He was about 34 for first try.
Oh,
Grant
wow.
Anderson dummied to him at one point.
Oh!
Yeah.
The GOAT, Grant Anderson. Is he one of the greatest ever, like, developments from debut to now?
Yep, without a doubt.
Like,
without
bro.
a doubt.
He, honestly, and we say this every week, so sorry, Storm fans, but, like, he was a battler when he debuted. Now he can't stop running over 200 metres if he tried.
His first 4 games, I'm the worst footballer you've ever seen, but granted, his first 4 games were terrible.
You basically said this is a good Q Cup player that just probably doesn't have.
He's just not up to first grade.
Since then,
Now Melbourne are losing him, and you're like, oh shit.
it's a massive loss.
Yeah.
Think about all the injury. Think about how much they would have killed to just have him fill in one of those positions.
Leo wasn't on the bench. Sorry, so they were just shot.
Yeah.
Yeah. Jeez. That's a little bit of a worry heading into finals footy that they're getting this decimated by outside, like, as in, not their fault, but it's getting pretty thin in the outside backs.
They're all due back. Well, the majority of them are due back. They're like, Howth will be back in a few weeks. Coach back post Origin. They're getting a few.
Yeah. But I mean, the Warbrick one is a really
That's a weird
concerning
one,
one. So you'd assume Grant Anderson sees the year out. They're probably their starting 17 for a grand final would be Meaney in the centres, Howarth in the other, Coates, Anderson.
Oh, I
Then
think Anderson's played himself into it anyway. Yeah.
If Warbrick came back, he'd probably come back through. Yeah, he probably would come back through New South Wales Cup or Queensland Cup, wouldn't he?
Initially, I'd say so.
Yeah, even though Warbrick for me at his best is their starting. But I mean, Grant Anderson, he can play 6 as well.
He can play everywhere. Like he'd also be like, if you didn't have Tyron Wisher, like he'd be a great guy to carry on your bench, I reckon.
It's a great point, because especially the unique point of difference of being an outside back coverage rather than a
He
forward.
can cover centre, he can cover wing. Like
Mate, I'd almost back him in to go 13, seriously. He's been that good. He's just a goer. Like everything he does is 100 miles an hour. And once again, it's just a testament to the Melbourne Storms. They don't just get players down in a squad to play rugby league. They get players down there to develop them as rugby league players. And even if your name is Cameron Smith, we are still trying to make you a better rugby league player in your 15th year or your 3rd year or your 4th year. And you just see it with guys like Grant Anderson, guys like Nick Meaney. Like Nick Meaney, you know, he's been forced to play centre, like in a situation where, like, it's probably his weakest position in the back line. And yet they'll go into a grand final confident. Yeah, granted, his defence can be touch and go, but they'll still be able to find their way in a grand final with a guy like Nick Meaney in centre, because they just back him in to suit what the Storm need. You know, he represents what the Storm player needs to be, which is a guy that just gives his all every single week and continues working on his game.
You brought it up there already, but like Pahulu's obviously down there now. I think he was on the team sheet, the extended bench last week. He hasn't come into the first grade side yet. He's been playing Q Cup. I'm very interested to see when he gets an opportunity. I think they're just playing the long game with him.
I can't wait. Look what Bloke did.
He's got to come into it this year, doesn't he?
Surely. Like a push for the finals where his impact off
Is
the
it
bench.
also a bit telling that he hasn't been picked yet?
Yeah,
Like,
it does. Maybe I
like you were surprised. I know you two are high on him, and I've got no knock on him, but you blokes were quite surprised when, you know, he was let go from the Titans. He's gone to the Storm. They have players out to Origin and all that, and they're a bit depleted, and he still can't get a run.
The Melbourne Storm have been super patient with a lot of players.
Yeah.
You've got to look at Howarth, for example.
Yeah.
We spoke about him for years, and look at the player he's turned into. So I wonder with Pahulu, they see the potential, and they're like, we don't want to rush it.
Yeah, maybe that's. I don't know.
So I've just Sean Bloor. What a bloody game from Bloor. Another example. First year, just sorted his defence out, got through the season. You know, he couldn't get through friggin' 4 games at the Tigers almost. Mm-hmm. Now he's in his, second full season where he hasn't missed a game or maybe 1 game.
Just about.
And he was one of their best players on the weekend. Again, just developing. Like, it is the best development system in the competition.
I also think, like, he probably doesn't stand out in attack as much as you'd maybe picture him to, but I think Cam Munster would be a hard back rower to play with at times because he does jump around. He's all over the shop and he plays both sides.
You're not running lines off him.
No, exactly right. Like, I think if Bloor was, say, on the right, running that Eli Katoa line off Jerome Hughes, he'd be in the attack all the time. But it doesn't necessarily come off Munster because that's you know, Munster's not known for forming and having these incredible combinations with his back rowers. That's not a knock. It's just the style of player that he is.
Yeah, it's a good point. Whereas Hughes is specifically like Katoa. You're my weapon almost. Like I'm going to use you as a weapon. Whereas Munster is almost Munster first, and then whatever happens after that, I just make it kind of work. Speaking of Katoa, bro, is he the best back rower under high ball we've seen in a long time?
He did it on the other side of the field.
What? It's a joke.
He had no right to be there.
That's like 3 tries in 2 weeks off kicks. Bro, he might be, again, just reiterating the point that the Melbourne Storm are just like, there are areas we are going to develop players in that you just don't expect. So they've clearly identified Katoa and said, you're big, you're strong, and you've got a good vertical leap. We're going to make you our attacking weapon when it comes to catching the ball. Because the beauty about a Katoa is when he goes up for the ball to catch it, his weight and power just pushes anyone off the ball. Like anyone off the ball. Was it? Oh no, that was the Raiders.
Week.
It was Will Kennedy. Yes, sorry, just like it was the Raiders, but it's a similar situation. I think it was Sasangi that went up for that ball with Kalen Ponga and just completely took him off the ball. Whereas if he's competing against other outside backs, maybe he has a chance. When you're competing against Katoa, his weight will always win that battle in the contact. And the Melbourne Storm just identifying that, seeing he's got good hands. Now he's almost nearly as potent as bloody Zach Lomax under the high ball. Seriously. Not even taking the piss. Like, he is that potent under the high ball.
Isn't it crazy, though, like, when you look around at the comp and you got that many teams who are kicking the ball up and not competing for the ball at all, then you got Melbourne doing it with their back rower.
Back rower.
As Tim said, on the wrong side of the fucking field.
I will say, I think, you know, back in the day, I was a big believer in, you know, get your set right, let them catch it, get your defence right. I just think the days are gone with that. I don't think, you know, back in the day, you could win a game 12-6 most weekends. You just got to score more points than that to win games these days. You're not going to win a game, most games anyway, 12-6. So any time that you can even disrupt it or get a try or create a try assist, I think you got to take it.
It's a bit like your tipping. Very boring, isn't it?
Oh, wow. That's really uncalled for. Look, just because you're second last.
No, I'm not. I'm
He's
last.
Joke's on you.
Get your facts right.
Can't believe you're chirping at me. You're, what, $50 behind me?
Yeah, but the punters love it. It's exciting.
No, it's not. They
punting.
don't, losing every week. The punters hate that shit.
I don't know why I brought that up. That backfired very quickly.
Just on that point, though, Sarri said something really good the other day. He's like, you know, when he's coaching and want to work with young kids, like a lot of coaches and halves now, they always want the perfect kick. It's like, it's not really about the perfect kick anymore. It's creating a kick that creates a contest for the ball. That's your better play.
Yeah, it's a great point. I remember at the Broncos, you know, coming through as outside backs, we were all sort of a similar mind, like fucking put it where I need it, like.
Yeah.
And the amount of times, you know, rest in peace, Paul Green was actually that catching coach at the time. But the amount of times he would tell us, just make it a contest. That's your job. Yep. Your job isn't to catch it per se; it's to make a contest because you don't know what's going to happen after that. And it's a really good point with Sowie as well because it forces the kicker then also as well. If he's not landing it, guess whose fault it is? It's the kicker's like land it in the right spot, mate. Whereas like if you're always waiting for the perfect kick and you don't chase hard, then it just looks like you've been lazy and haven't chased hard.
Yeah.
So it's a great point. Yeah, I just think that with the way the game has gone, with the average score increasing quite substantially, I just think any chance you get to score points, you just got to take it.
Yeah, and I think if you look at Zach Lomax, I think we'd all argue is probably the best in the game at it. But I reckon Lomax catches for 40% of them.
Yeah, one from
but
five.
But he creates
one
a
from
contest
four.
in all of them.
Yep. I'll tell you what, the defending team is shitting themselves way more when he's coming up than even though he drops 3 of them. Like, it just...
If you did the stats, I reckon, like, 30% could be too generous for Lomax.
100%. 100%. That's what's so incredible at Katoa. Like, his catch rate is actually fucking quite high. So, look, good win. Good solid win for the Storm. They're getting through this period. Cannot wait, once this game is done on Wednesday, just to see what this Storm outfit's going to do because I got a sneaking suspicion that this massive lull in form outside of last week where they were phenomenal is all planned from Bellamy. I got a sneaking suspicion that it's all been planned and they are just going to go like this coming out of Origin footy. Doesn't excuse the fact that those performances did happen and they have been scrappy, and I know Storm fans don't like to hear that, but they have been super scrappy for about 6 weeks up until Sharkies win. But 2 good solid wins on the trot, missing some key players. I think that maybe Bellamy's preparing for back end of the year. Okay, on to the next game. Sydney Roosters are beaten by the West Tigers 30-28. And if you ever needed an example of sometimes rugby league is just about the team that wants it more, here is the example. I understand the Roosters were missing some players, but the West Tigers were under the pump. No Appy, no Luai. De Silva's gone. You've got a 30-year-old Tristan Hope in 9. Buller's gone as well. Taruva to fullback, which I much prefer him at fullback there. But they needed to win. It was really that simple. One team wanted to win, one team needed to win, and we saw that with the West Tigers. And the beautiful thing is, it's a good example. Look, I don't know what's going on at the club, but at the very least, most of that team is desperate to get the win for Benji Marshall. That's a huge positive for the club. Sydney Roosters, sure, you could be super critical, but geez, they're missing some players too. I'm still quite high on the Roosters making the 8. When they get their boys back in. I think they're way further ahead of schedule than they would have thought. I think you can tell that by Trent Robinson's calm nature in the post-match press conference, but a bloody good win from the West Tigers. What do you think, Hammy?
Yeah, started very well. First half, just about flawless, probably apart from the last 2 minutes there where they let in a try off the back of a penalty they just didn't need to give away. So, they had a commanding lead. They probably should have held it a bit better. I know Benji, that he was asked if he was happy with the performance, given the noise during the week and stuff. He said, not really. Like, when you get to a lead like that, you should be able to defend it. So, good to see that he's kind of not resting on the laurels as well. But that said, there was a lot of noise through the week, and some of the boys came out, Latu Fino, after the game and said, it was important that we kind of showed the coach that we kind of care about him and all that sort of thing. So gutsy win by the club. Obviously, the Roosters had a few out, but so did the Tigers. They've done it. We've done it pretty tough over the last couple of weeks. And I think just a lot of guys playing out of position. And there's been players that have left the club this year or whatever, but the ones that are still there, like clearly they care, and they're prepared to. Do things that are a little bit uncomfortable, that was a gutsy win.
Just about that narrative about like players leaving the club. You can say, why did they let Talon De Silva go this year, whilst also understanding Galvin and De Silva wanted to leave.
Yeah.
That's not the Tigers' fault.
Yeah.
And yes, I understand that there's been articles of De Silva wanted to plan forward or whatever. Listen, if you want to plan forward, you would ask the question. You would try harder to stay. If you're De Silva, I've got no issue with him leaving early. I think it's smart if he wants to get out of there. But to suggest that they wanted to say, but he's getting an early release. You wouldn't even ask the question. If you were so desperate to say, why would you ask for a mid-season release?
Yeah.
So I think the narrative about we've lost all these juniors is okay, you've lost them, but they didn't want to be there.
Exactly.
Which is fine. Yeah. I think Talon De Silva is going to be fantastic at the Eels. I think eventually the Galvin situation is going to work. But I don't think it should be held against the Tigers that these two guys have they don't want to be there, which is fine. It is what it is.
Yeah, you want people in the squad who want to be there. And I think, there is a good nucleus of players that do care and, do want to be there. Obviously, all three Fino brothers scored on the weekend. You can build a club around these guys are all early 20s as well. Thought Latu had his best game yet, probably for the club.
Just in regards to the De Silva one, though, just to be clear, the only thing I'm mind blow at is the Tigers letting him go this year when, what's better than having Tristan Hope in the first grade squad and Api Coruscant? De Silva as well. It's better. You've paid all his wages. You can't get anyone from him. Keep him for the rest of the year. But, the narrative that people tried to spin that, De Silva actually wanted to stay, but the Tigers were just not get out of here. It's if he wanted to stay, why would he ask for a release to go to the Eels now? I just don't get that narrative that's being spun against the Tigers. It doesn't make any sense. They clearly wanted to leave. That's fine.
I think it's just, can't be honest, I think it's just easy clicks for a lot of journalists to go, how about they run? They didn't even offer it. If the player wanted to stay, they would have gone, hey, how about you offer me something? I think it's just a bit of a cop-out, to be honest, for most of them, when they just go, can you believe they didn't do X, Y, or Z? They don't do everything perfectly, but I think sometimes they just see them as an easy target,
It's just a De Silva one. It's I'm sure the Tigers didn't go and ask the Eels for the release or whatever. It would have been De Silva and his team saying, can I get a release to go to the Eels?
Correct.
A little bit surprised there, how they've tried to muddy the waters a little bit. It was pretty clear that Api Coruscant was the choice, which is fine. Talon De Silva has looked at that and said, okay, I want to play first grade. I'm going to go somewhere else. There's nothing wrong with that. I don't know why they tried to muddy it and be well, actually, he did want to stay. It's what are we talking about here?
Yeah.
You know what, mate, when I was at the Broncos, if I wanted to stay, I remember having conversations there were certain things agreed to where I went to the club and was don't even bother giving me that. I'm desperate to say I love this club. And the club was just You know what I mean? Like, if you want to stay, you'll stay. Anyway, just another thing as well with this game, I got to say, that ref at the end, relatively good game. Okay, 1 or 2 calls here or there. But speaking to Teddy and giving him so many chances to go for that goal, that was so inappropriate. So inappropriate. It should never happen again like that. That was really, really poor. I understand where he was coming from in regards to like trying to do the right thing or whatever, but it is not on him to make Teddy make the right decision. That was really, really poor.
We were obviously out of the game, and I noticed it live that as soon as Teddy stood up, he went like that and whatnot. I actually didn't notice him chase him after. I've seen the comments since. He's not his coach.
It's really, really poor. Like that's a bad look for the game.
If you make a dumb decision, you make a dumb decision.
You don't run after a captain going, I just want to confirm that you're making this call. Like that's a really poor, really, really poor decision from. I understand he was probably looking at it from I don't know, maybe like, Teddy doesn't know what he's talking. It doesn't matter. Even if Teddy doesn't know the rules, that's not your call. It's not your call. But I just want to point that out. I'm not assigning any kind of malice or whatever. That cannot happen again. What if that had been the difference?
Yeah.
Like, what if that conversion?
It wouldn't have shocked me at all. That sort of thing happens to us all the time. So, thankfully, dodged the bullet.
And so, it is Richo spoke about, the lower tier teams, certain subconscious, all this kind of stuff. So, anyway, just wasn't a good look. Should never happen again.
Yeah, I and it happens in different parts of our game, whether it's packing in scrums or whether it's, playing the ball on the mark. Like, referees aren't there to baby them and teach them.
No, it was just the extreme nature of it, like chasing him and...
Yeah, same thing at the game. I didn't actually know what the conjecture was about, but I saw them talking for age and what is going on here?
Yeah. Mate, well, so Teddy, they scored the try. Teddy walked straight up to him and was like, we don't want to take the kick. We don't want to... It was extremely clear. The ref chased him, yelling him, Teddy, just confirming you don't want to take... And then Teddy said again, I'm pretty sure, don't want it. And then he was like, are you sure? Anyway... Go and look at it, the actual video, guys. Maybe I'm recalling it a bit harsher than what happened, but it shouldn't happen again. Anyway, back to the game. We already spoke about Latu Fano in the Kayo Can't Miss moment, but just quickly again on him, if you can just keep him on the field, that's a very exciting young player to build a club around.
100%. Yeah, he was great. We spoke about his explosive speed, all that sort of stuff as well. But just big moments that kind of mattered through the game that probably won the Tigers the game. He was front and centre in them, whether he was actually scoring the try or putting guys through gaps. Easily his best game so far.
You could tell it meant quite a lot to Roel May. Played his heart out.
Hey, what about that play where I think he got an offload and then the next play he came charging down the short side as the first receiver, looking to ball play. It meant heaps to him, that one.
Yeah.
As it should. Good on him.
Yeah, I mean, regardless of whether you think it's right or wrong or whatever, it's a player getting moved on for essentially no real reason after signing a contract a few months before or whatever it was. Hasn't he just been a revelation at the Tigers? God.
So good. And Benji called him out in the post-match. He goes, look, a lot of obviously players out or missing from this game, so our next level of leaders really needed to step up. And he pointed to, obviously, Twile was the captain, but he had Terrell May in that kind of bucket as well. So, it's good to see that he's, he's playing a bit of a leadership role within the team. Obviously that's rightly or wrongly a bit of a knock on him, is potentially a bit of a disrupting influence in squads, but in this squad, he's actually one of the guys that Benji kind of trusts to go to and bring the best out of the other guys.
And look, a guy like Luai, he's grown up with, I think he even grew up probably with Terrell May. There's different characters in squads. It's just a matter of creating an environment that can understand that difference, but also use it to the advantage. Because a guy like Terrell, so on the weekend against his old club, 22 runs, 204 metres, 78 post contact, 3 tackle breaks, 4 offloads, 38 tackles, only 1 miss, no errors. That's a huge knock. 70 minutes. And funnily enough, on the other side, White returning serve, 22 runs, 250 metres, 113 post contact, 5 tackle breaks, 45 tackles, only 1 miss. The scary thing is could you imagine if they were still on the same side?
Well, he looked great in orange, white, and black. Get him over.
Oh, White's coming over?
Yeah.
Okay. I got to say as well, I thought, where is he? I thought Bolle was great as well. I really do.
Gun.
He's been the unsung hero for you guys this year. A lot of plaudits have gone to Terrell May, and understandably. But I think Bolle has just gone... If he was in any other forward pack other than one with Terrell May in it, he'd be getting talked about so much more regularly. He's been outstanding for you guys.
He's been awesome. I do actually think that having Terrell May at the club has helped bring the best out of him because he's been in and around the squad for the last few years, and he played a bit more 13 in years gone by, but those two have been so good together, and he's like the footwork that guy's got for such a big unit is outrageous. But yeah, he's been fantastic. I know there's been a bit of talk around trying to shore him up and secure him, but he'd be top of the list, I reckon.
Surely.
In terms of blokes to
Just on two in their reserve grade, Taylor May, he obviously made his return. He only played half the game, and he actually subbed off for a young fella, Macassini, who the Tigers also reckon is proper player of the future.
Yep.
So two guys there. I didn't watch Taylor May's game and whatnot, but I saw a highlight of him making a tackle about 12 metres out. He just picked up the guy and drove him back into the in goal.
Yeah, I saw that as well.
Yeah.
I mean, I think, Taylor May, I think people forget this guy is
Very talented.
very talented player, rugby league player.
Tristan Hope went well.
Great knock.
He's, I looked at his cup stats as well. 12 games this year. He's scored 7 tries, 6 tries. He had 4 in one game earlier in the year, but 28-year-old, whether or not his defence is good enough, but I thought he was quite good for you, Hammy, and whether he's sort of does he become the backup to Appy long term, or what are your thoughts on him?
I think he does. I know Benji really likes his attitude and application. Remember, he got given a debut in round 1. Appy was out in that game, and obviously, he's a little bit older, but he's gone the long way. He came down from Queensland, and he reminds me. Come with me on the journey here. A little bit of Bo Webster coming into the Aussie Test team. Like, he's not a young guy coming through that is picked on potential. He knows his game really well, so when he comes in. He hasn't really missed for the first grade team when he's come in. He knows
41 tackles, 0 misses.
Really consistent, great service.
That's the benefit of coming through Q Cup
correct,
properly.
Exactly. So, a little bit of a silver lining there. Obviously, talented Silver, a great young player, but this guy's a good quality first grade player, so probably gives him a bit of an opportunity the rest of the year.
What about the great Twal leading the team to victory?
1 from 1.
The Adonis.
Yeah.
Don't need to score tries when you win a match as a captain.
Yeah. He nearly, you look, kind of came close once or twice there. A couple of big runs in the close to the line. But yeah, I thought he was fantastic. I think he loved being given the opportunity to captain the team. Just like watch him kind of like address the media a few times through the week.
He's the best. He's so funny.
He's just great, isn't he?
Yeah. Great gear.
Yeah. So that, I think even, obviously it's not a long-term thing, but giving a guy like him the C for a game like that'll kind of flow on for the rest of the year for him, you'd imagine.
Absolutely. I thought Gerald Skelton, at least in what he needs to do in regards to his run out of his own end, was outstanding.
Yep.
Which is great. It was exactly what you need. Isn't Luke Lalili an interesting player? Didn't necessarily set the world alight. I think there was a couple of times defensively could have been a bit better. But there's a lot of potential there. He's like very explosive young athlete.
And he's out of position, right? Like he plays a lot more wing than he does centre.
I'm not sure.
Hammy?
Not sure.
Yeah, correct. He's even played a little bit of fullback as well, but mainly on the wing. So it was interesting to see him get thrown in the centre.
They go, we'll move you to centre and you can oppose Mark and I'm going to equalise you. It's like, thanks.
Yeah.
And he just turned 19 like a week ago.
Super young. So the only concern's the wrong word, but just query is make sure his development is correct. Yes, it is good sometimes to just throw a young kid in the deep end or whatever, but I hope that, what do we just talk about the Melbourne Storm? Super patient, bring guys through slowly. And a guy like him, I think he has so much potential. He's a very special athlete. You don't want him too damaged confidence-wise by throwing him in against Nwanganu Tuwase, coming off that field going, oh, geez, am I ready for it or not? I hope his development's right because there's a lot of potential in this young fella.
I'll tell you the other thing with him, he played in the under-19s this year. He was the only first grader that was playing, and at the end of the game, he shook hands, and at the end of the game made a beeline to the sideline to get his child. Took him straight out there. He was just watching him interacting with people. He's a pretty impressive young kid.
Yeah, that's good to hear.
Watching him there, you wouldn't have thought he's the only one that's played first grade. Wasn't a big time or a big hit or anything like that.
Yeah,
okay. A lot of positives.
That's good to see. So hopefully they develop him properly because there's heaps of potential there. In regards to that, Dewey, he tried his heart out all day, which is exactly what you needed. Just a bloody good win for the club. Fainu on the edge there, got that try. Yeah, just a really good win for the club. Really, really good win for the club. Exactly what you needed. And I guess what surprised me the most, not necessarily that she's won, that obviously was a little bit of a surprise, but just the quality of footy you were playing in the first half. That was, some of the better footy you guys have played this year. Like, it really, really was. So that's probably what I was a bit like, oh, this is a level of rugby league that's a bit higher than what I thought they could play right now with the roster they've got. So that's what's so pleasing, I think, from a Tigers fan's perspective.
Yeah, that's right. They kind of throw it around a bit, got their own style. I think when they kind of divert back to, I don't know whether it's like, defending a lead or trying to manage that's where it kind of goes a bit pear-shaped. So, it was good. Good style. And also, mathematically, still a chance to host a final as well. So, looking forward to that for the Tigers.
On to the Roosters. Just let the lead slip out from them too long, but it was the Nwanga Nitawase show. My God, this guy is a problem, an absolute problem. And is he signed for next year or is it the year after? Can you get his contract?
He's on board for next year as well.
Yeah, it's next year. He's next year. He reckons he purposely
for the
did
World Cup
2 years just to keep the door open for the World Cup.
How much are you signing him for? Because I reckon there are clubs out there that would go up to 800 to 900K.
Oh, mate, well and truly. And I'm saying it for a while. I reckon if he gets a shot at fullback, he like stats alone would be unbelievable, I think.
Yeah.
I think the big question is if you're the Wallabies, how much are you paying to get him back free?
Yeah.
Fuck.
Mate, seriously, like his ability just to make things happen, it's probably been the best of any outside back in the competition this year.
Easy game plan with him. Just give him early.
Literally
ball.
just get in the
and
ball.
It was like yesterday when he had the matchup with Lau Lily. Like, it was too good to be true almost. It's like, do not overthink this. Just give him early ball. And Savala did it in the second half, I think, for that second try that he scored. Just gave it to him. There was nothing on. Just trounced it straight through.
Crazy.
He's a freak.
He's an absolute freak. And sometimes, like, you'll spin a ball out to a centre and, like, once every 3 or 4 times, whatever they want to happen will happen. I feel like any time they're in good ball, he's making stuff happen. It is just, he is so impressive. And what's crazy, what's insane, is he's been playing footy again, like back in league for like a year and a half maybe. What's he going to be like in 3 years if he stays in the game and continues to work on everything? Bro, he is just an absolute rock star. And I got a sneaking suspicion he's probably going to sign a massive contract to go back to the Wallabies. Because why wouldn't have you re-signed yet? I'm sure there are clubs out there that are already offering him. I know it's not November 1st yet, but I'm sure his manager has gotten a bit of feeling from teams out there that need a strike outside back.
The hope for Lee is Unky Nick at the Roosters.
Hopefully.
Being at the Roosters, if he wants to keep him, he'll probably keep him. I mean, he'll want to, but like, he's in the right spot to stay in league, put it that way.
Would you go as high as $1 million for him? I know it's insane. I know it is, but he's a freak.
You could if you end up competing with another side for him, which will happen. I wouldn't personally pay him $1 million, but
like, okay, let's talk about the Dragons, for example. I know there's just, like, let's imagine Gutho's going to retire next year. You can get Nwanga Nitawase to the club. You've got a bit of your cap space free. They were going to do it Joey Manu.
I would not. But it wouldn't surprise me if by the end of this season we're going, I would. Like, he's just that good.
Yeah.
One of the new teams will definitely throw that amount at him, I reckon. because
he's just like, think about, like, you got to remember, Dragons are willing to do with Joey Manu. And obviously he hasn't achieved anywhere near what Joey Manu has in the game yet. But, like, I mean, he looks pretty freaking good. He looks pretty good. And so if he keeps playing like this, mate, like, my God, he's just that good. He's so dangerous with the ball. 120 metres, 2 tries. 14 tackle breaks. 14 tackle breaks.
Yeah, I hope you don't take this personally, Hammy, but I think as well, if Rodwell would have scored that try in the first few minutes off that offload that he had, I think this game would have been a very different one, personally. I think the Tigers took a lot from that.
Yeah.
Jeez.
I won't take it personally. We won, so...
You did, like, you showed a lot of ticket throughout the game. Like, once again, it was 5 tries to 4. But, you don't get lucky with penalty goals. You earn them, and the Tigers earn them consistently.
Yeah. Another guy that has just gone to a whole friggin' another level is Nafahu White. Like, my God. I knew he was good, but not this good. I have to, like, you could see the talent there, but, I thought, he could be a good solid forward that's going to be, 130, 140 metres. Almost like, that, like, Roosters forward that doesn't necessarily statistically set the world alight, but he's just a dog in the middle that gets through a bunch of work. I mean, there's an argument that form-wise, you take names out of it, he's been in the top 5 front rowers this year, form-wise purely.
Yeah, for sure.
He's been that good.
Yeah, and even yesterday, like, he had one poor error in the game, which has always been my pet peeve with him. But when you're playing 75 minutes, you're working your dick off like that. I don't give a shit if you got one error in you.
Mate.
It was when he was playing, 30, 40 minutes and doing that. But the way he's going, he's one of the best front rowers in the game.
22 runs, 250 metres, 113 post-contact, 5 tackle breaks, 45 tackles, only 1 miss. And, mate, if you're playing 75 minutes and pulling stats out like that, you can have an error.
100% you can.
have an error.
And he's doing it every single week as well.
This is not just one-off. Like, he's been, even when they're at their worst, White is at one of their best.
Yeah.
He has been phenomenal. When
Robbo was getting rid of Terrell May and Maury Hargraves left, he knew what he had in the Fahu White, didn't he? Because we couldn't make sense before the forwards leaving what they were going to do. Well, there's your answer.
Yeah.
Jeez. Honestly, he's
I'd love to
special.
know if even Robbo knew he'd get to these heights.
This level. It's a good point because, like, if he knew he had this, surely because he was quite far down the pecking order 2 years ago. Like, he would come in when there was injuries, play on the edge sometimes, I think, as well. But he's just been seriously like.
Well, he started off as an edge,
so
he's become a middle.
He's averaging 160 metres per game. His tackle efficiency is 95.2. Post-contact, 890 metres, 39 tackle breaks, averaging about 13 and a half hit-ups. Averaging, 51 fantasy points, boys, don't cry.
Fuck those guys.
Oh, okay, a bit of emotion there. Okay, so here's his last 250 metres, 205 metres, 180 metres, 140 metres against the Bulldogs, 173 metres, 159, 172. That's his last, 6-7 games. Jesus.
At full strength, the Roosters forward pack is White in the front row, Watson at 9, Collins starts with him.
Oh, I think you start with him, absolutely, yeah.
Angus on the left edge, Wong on the right edge.
Yep.
Yeah, Radley at 13.
Yep.
You have Sandon on the bench as 14 once Sam Walker's back. Spencer Lanyu's a certainty. Who are the other spots? You got Blake Steep, you got Fiketti, you'll have Nat Butcher back soon, you got Egan Butcher. It's going to be some bloody good forwards that are left out of this side altogether. Their depth is I'm not sure if Nat Butcher walks straight back into a spot.
No, and he was their player of the year last year, I think, or was the year before. Here's another thing with White. So his post-contact meters, 114, 90, 72, 56, 82, 66, 67. His lowest since round 1 is 55. Everything else is essentially 60-plus meters in post-contact.
Yeah.
Far out, bro. That is hectic. Super special, Super, super special. Any other performances, boys, with the Roosters? Where are we at with the Roosters? I actually think, okay, look, even if they were to just miss the 8, with everything that's gone wrong for them this year, injuries-wise, and Sammy Walker not coming back in time, Brandon Smith getting moved on, I still think that's... When you look at these juniors and how far they've come, I think that the Roosters are sitting back going, we're ahead of schedule here.
Yeah, bloody hell, this has been a huge year for them, all things considered, plus the amount of guys they've brought in that have done well. Like even Max McCarthy, he played 51 minutes on the weekend. And coming in on his debut.
Yeah, and they were absolutely stitched up having to play all 3 of the major Origin weeks with all their players out like that. And to their credit, they won, I think, 2 of them, almost all 3 of them. So that shows the depth.
Yeah. I mean, Taylor Lasalu in 38 minutes ran for 136 metres, 77 post-contact, 20 tackles, only 1 miss. He was a concreter at the start of the year.
And we don't even talk about him like he's a young guy now. It's insane, but Toya's playing Origin. He's also a guy that they debuted this year.
Mental. It is exciting. This team at full strength next year. Whew.
Before we move on, and I'm not going to give you the underrated spiel, we do it all the time, but Daniel Tupou, he scored an unbelievable try in this game. That was in our corner.
Oh, God.
He made the kick look perfect. The kick was overcooked, in my opinion. Daniel Tupou was just so good in the air that he managed to get that. If you ever look at where he's sitting in the game right now, he has got 172 tries. So he's 4 away from Brett Morris at 176 to be in the top 5 try scorers of all time. So it means that if he can score 5 tries in the next 6 weeks or 7 weeks, whatever it is, we'll have Daniel Tupou and Alex Johnson, 2 of the top 5 try scorers of all time, playing each other in round 27. And it might be AJ going for the record, and it could be Daniel Tupou trying to get into the top 4 try scorers of all time.
What I love is they couldn't be more different as players as well.
Yep.
So different.
Couldn't be more different. Mate, that try score, geez Louise, what a jump.
They needed to exploit that matchup more. They needed to kick more to Tupou and Staines. God.
He's on 172 tries right now. Do we think he catches Brett Morris at 176?
Yeah, I think so.
Does he catch Steve Menzies at 180? So I think 8 tries away. He's signed for next year.
Oh, he's signed for next year? Yeah,
Yeah,
for sure. Absolutely.
Okay. Billy Slater at 190. So that means he's
15.
18 tries in 2 years.
Yeah, I'll
If
back
he
him
plays
in.
every game between now and end of next year,
I'll back him in.
he will.
Okay.
Especially next year when they start ripping.
Yep. Does he get to 200 tries? That's 28 tries away from today.
Well, they could be a premiership heavyweight next year, so you
Bloody
just
oath
don't
they
know.
could be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, fuck. Could you imagine?
So you could potentially end up at the end of 2027 with, you have 2 of the top 3 try scorers of all time playing in the
Jeez,
games.
that's crazy.
AJ and Tupu.
Just quickly before we move on, I know he got taken out once or twice or whatever, but I thought Rodwell was great.
Yeah, he was good.
Like really, yeah, yes, okay. They had some try-saving tackles or whatever, but mate, 24 runs, 218 metres, 54 post-contact. A line break, 2 line break assists. Hey, on your debut, pretty bloody good.
Yeah.
Pretty bloody good.
Not bad.
Outside of that, I'm just quickly, Tedesco once again working his absolute backside off, but we already know that. Anyway, on to the last game of the round. Manly defeat the South Sydney Rabbitohs 30-12. Brought to you by Grumpy Coffee. Grab your Grumpy Coffee. And don't forget, I'm heading over to Vegas July 20th. Zoo versus Fundora 2, one of the great fights recently. They're going at it again for the belts. Great win from Manly. Like, I understand the Rabbitohs might be missing some players or whatever, but this was a much better win in my opinion than last week with the Tigers. I thought it was really, and I say this respectfully, but after the first, 10, 15 minutes, I just didn't think South Sydney were in it. Like, I think that the Manly Seagulls completely controlled this game. It's the best it's the most, conservative is the wrong word, but most clinical they've looked in a very long time. This is a great win for the club and exactly what they needed.
I fought through the crowds in Paddington to get to a pub to watch this game after, and fought for a table, and really went hard at it to watch it on my phone for an hour. And the TVs weren't working. No. Dick. Manly though, I agree, mate. I was at that game last week. They were pretty bad against the Tigers. The Tigers were just atrocious, realistically. They needed this. I loved watching Turbo. He obviously started at centre. He started to float around.
Yep.
Imagine defending this Manly side and you look up and it's Turbo instead of Lehigh all of a sudden.
Yeah.
Like, they're such different players, such a different skill set. It'd be a nightmare.
Yeah.
If their forward pack can just compete in games, they're going to be a real pain in the arse.
They just need field position.
Yeah.
Literally just need field. If they get field position, they will score points. Like Garrick looks back to his best on the wing there. Love him on the wing.
Their pack don't even need to dominate as such. They said they just need to compete and hang in with other packs. Between Turbo and Lehigh and DC, there are so many points in this team.
100%. Like, DCE looked so much better than he's looked. Now, I don't know if DCE is back, but my God, that was the DCE that started the season. Confident, stripping team of numbers, creating tries. He looks substantially better. And so, I don't know. Look, I understand that there's people going to be like, come on, mate, it's against the South Sydney Rabbitohs who are absolutely, on their knees right now. But, you can only be what's in front of you, but it's also how you do it. And it was they were just in control the whole time, in my opinion. I know there was some late tries from Tallis Duncan, which is a great sign for Tallis Duncan, but I just, at no point after those first couple of tries from Manly did I think the Rabbitohs are in this match.
Yeah, completely agree.
It was polished from Manly.
Yeah.
He said, sure, they beat an understrength Bunny side, but he said they can only beat what they're put up against, and they're great.
And it's just the way they did it too. It wasn't scrappy.
No.
It was just a dominant, controlled win.
Mate, credit when due to Siege. He made that, took a while, but the Tommy Turbo moved to centre, and you go, all right, good move, but you still need to get the best out of Turbo. And the way he's letting him roam and sort of chime in as a fullback at times when they're attacking, we say these sorts of things, and we've suggested that in the past, that if you play Tommy at centre, let him roam, let him move about the field. Easy to say, hard to execute. He's executed it perfectly with him.
And what do you know? Tommy's getting, this is after 2 games. Look how comfortable he's beginning to look. Even just the way he's running, he looks more comfortable, looks more confident in his body. He looks more confident with the ball in hand. Like, what's it going to look like in 6 weeks after just footy, week after week of footy, week after week of footy? It's going to look substantially better. So, yes, did it take quite a while for him to make the call? Yep. But he did. You've got to give him credit that he actually made the call, because I think a lot of coaches would have been, not a lot of coaches, but some coaches would have just been kept saying, but Tommy's so good at the back there. Like, if it clicks. And look, who knows? He can always just move him back there once he's at full flight.
Sure.
The interesting thing about this one, though, is that Manly was so much better in attack. They only had a minute and a half more possession, but they won 30-12. So they only had 52% possession compared to 48 against the Rabbitohs, and they still completely dominated them. Just shows you how much they just took their opportunities and how much they don't need like a lifetime of field position, just like set after set after set. They just need a little bit of field position. They're going to score points.
Yeah.
In regards to some good performances, obviously we're speaking about Tommy. What I like at the moment for the Manly Seagulls is that I'll be honest, maybe I'll say 2. It honestly could be 3. A lot of their attack is just revolved around get Olakau'atu the ball to get us a quick play the ball, and then we score tries off that. They're doing it without Olakau'atu, which it's taken them a few weeks to kind of like, almost go, okay, what do we do now? That's a great sign because when you put him back into the side, then it just takes you to a whole nother level because you don't rely on him so much getting you quick play the balls.
The other one I thought was good off the bench was Toff Sipley. He played about 30 minutes. I think he would have topped 100 run meters. 133 run meters he got. He was really good off the bench. And that's the thing, especially whilst Olakau'atu's out, they don't need an alpha forward. They just need everyone just to chip in, just do their bit. Yeah,
absolutely. Like if I'm looking at a Manly Seagull side and their forward stats are all kind of similar, 90 to 100 metres, that's all I want from them. It's the outside backs that I want to see at 200 metres, 150 metres.
Just on that, like Olakau'atu reliance, it's a bit of a right edge reliance that they're so heavily dominated. Like they're scoring 50% of their tries down the right edge, 33% on the left edge.
Geez.
And when Tommy Turbo went out to right centre, went, all right, the left edge will catch cold. Poor old Ruben Garrick on the left wing. But because Tommy's roaming and sort of chiming in, he's actually having that impact and making the left side potent as well, despite playing right centre. So it's like just balances out their attack a little bit more as well.
Yeah. I'll tell you what, Kohler, geez, he's strong in contact. Mate, the try where he essentially like bumped a bunch of blokes, but then he hit the goal post. I think he did that nearly he ran that same line 2 or 3 times. Eventually, he got it off a drop ball or something like that. But he flies under the radar so much, but he is a bloody good centre.
I know we talk about it every few weeks, but like just the depth in their outside backs, especially when you consider they let Kayo Weeks go 2 years ago.
Yeah.
Imagine if he was still there.
Mental. Absolutely mental. Like Cooler had a try assist, 122 metres, 8 tackle breaks, a line break assist, 11 tackles, 1 miss. And I know he had an error or 2 here or there, but like more and more he just feels like he's getting his groove back. You take it back, it was 2 or 3 years ago where he really exploded onto the scene. Had a couple of injuries here or there, which has kind of hurt his confidence a little bit. I think he's getting back to his best footy. Lehigh was solid. He was good, which is interesting because like you would have thought, Lehigh needs to rip and tear and kill it, but he's getting through his work, doing his job, which is what's it going to be like when they go to another level. But it's Garrick for me. Like, my God, get him back on the wing and he just scores tries for fun.
Yeah.
Scores tries for fun on the wing. It's like it's nothing.
His best position.
It really is. He's a really... I mean, you have to remember, when he was at his best on the wing, there were like talks that he was kind of in Origin chat. I know like it was a little bit away, but like at centre, he actually went better than a lot of people gave him credit for. But I just think he's out and out bloody good winger.
Just looks so much more comfortable there, doesn't he?
Yeah, absolutely. Saab on the other wing, just showing that just that extra metre of speed he has can create something from nothing.
Yeah.
Like just, I spoke about it when I think he got dropped, and I was just like, I don't think, obviously most Manly fans do, but I reckon there's some Manly fans that like, okay, does Saab take 20 hit-ups a game? Maybe not. But the amount of times you guys make line breaks just because he's so fast is like second to none in the NRL. Yeah. Second to none.
I feel really sorry for Tommy Talau on the bench now, but I think that Talau's got a lower floor than what Saab does, 100%, but it's like you just can't replicate what Saab does.
You can't.
It can be a half opportunity that's just done.
Honestly, like it's almost like what you hope Savage eventually gets to, that the amount of times where you just spin him the ball, if he has an extra metre on the edge, he'll burn the defender. Saab does it every game, essentially.
Yeah.
Every game.
He's got that like it's under 8s footy effect to him. He's just
Seriously.
the fastest guy by a distance.
And the thing is you can have all the defensive systems in the world, but at the end of the day, most wingers are going to have a 4 or 5 metre space to take on the other winger. He's just so friggin' fast that he nails it each time. So just, awesome to see. Who stood out for you, mate?
No, I was just going to say a good point about Garrick. Just they've tried to make him a centre for the last couple of years, but that's maybe the silver lining of this turbo to centre thing is it just slips him back out there where he just looks. I just think he looks so much better, so much more threatening. Outside of that, I mean, you guys have covered off on a few of them. I thought their bench forwards are actually pretty good. In this one, I thought Bullymore and Toff Sipley, when they came on, kind of, sometimes been a bit of an issue for them, how they've kind of gone through the middle a little bit. But I thought those guys actually gave them a little bit of punch off the bench this weekend.
I will say, I think Lodge is in a bit of trouble. That tackle on Cheese.
Yeah.
Cleared. He got cleared.
What?
Yeah.
Good call, mate.
Great call. Mate, maybe I'm an idiot. Mate, I'm clearly an idiot. What? Am I crazy? Did you think he would get cleared?
I was surprised.
Yeah, I didn't think he'd get cleared, no.
Cheese is out for 6 to 8 weeks. And I've always been of the mind of you should judge it just on what the tackle is. But they've shown a history of if you get 6 to 8 weeks, you're gone skis. I mean, didn't Sipley get knocked out and land on someone's leg and get 8 weeks, 6 weeks or something?
And sent to the bin.
Probably one of the things they've been most consistent with. If anything.
Yeah. That if you're going to injure someone, you're gone. What? Look, I'm more than willing. I saw the replay multiple times. He didn't fully it wasn't the craziest hip drop ever, but it was clearly a hip drop. Boys, am I going crazy here?
No,
I feel like I'm
it
going
was.
I thought
crazy.
it was, yeah.
You're not going crazy, mate. It's all good.
Honestly, I feel like I'm going crazy.
I just,
Cleared. Not even a week or two.
the way the NRL adjudicate hip drops, it confused me every time.
Have they given a explanation as to why he was cleared? Can you look it up? Hammy, thoughts? Are we going crazy?
Yeah, I thought he was very lucky to get off. I would have thought, especially given the severity of the injury and, the added layer of complexity is he's just come back from a year off as well. Surely there would have been even another kind of flag there. But, I can't believe he got off completely.
Because what I'm not getting is clearly pressure landed on his knee and ankle because he just did his MCL. Unless are they arguing that the MCL was done before Lodge landed on his leg? Jeez, okay. Fuck, they must have footage that I'm happy to say I got it wrong, but that's very surprising. Okay. Anyone else? You guys for the Manly Seagulls?
No, I think we sort of covered all the Seagulls, boys.
I think Tokiao has been a bit of an underrated buy for him. Wouldn't have broke the bank. Just getting through his work. Manly, he hasn't been that great, but imagine him without bloody Tokiao.
He's been solid, but if they didn't have him and they were already without Paseka, serious trouble, yeah.
Serious trouble. Imagine this period right now without Tokiao in the squad.
Yeah.
I don't know who they'd have. Do they have an explanation or anything like that?
Nothing yet.
Nothing yet. Okay. Yeah, maybe they've got angles that we can't see, but I definitely thought it was going to get some time. On to the Rabbitohs. Injuries, all that stuff. My biggest concern for the Rabbitohs, we had a really good start to the year, Humphries, and he is an NRL player. I just wonder, is he a 7 in the NRL? And yes, there's all these injuries, and once they get all these players back, I think they're going to be a bloody good team. But I am a little bit worried. Essentially, your most important position, 7, it's still kind of up in the air. Is that guy a 7? Then you've got Bud Sullivan, and what the question up in the air with that is, is he going to reach his potential? And so that's the little bit of a worry I have at the moment with South is Humphries more suited to 9 rather than 7? I'd love to get your thoughts, Matty.
Yeah, I'm a bit worried about that as well. Injuries, blah, blah, blah. But in my head, next year, if we're running out full strength, we're pretty much set in every position except number 7. And I think Humphries is more of a 9. I think, he came up as a 9, didn't he, Guru? It was kind of like a mix. And I don't think he's creative enough to be a halfback, personally. But he's our best option at the moment, especially with Jaden Sullivan being injured. But I don't think South are going into, we've got Lewis Dodd, Jaden Sullivan, Jamie Humphries, Lachie Ilias went last year. There's hasn't been pretty much since Lachlan Ilias' first year, there hasn't been, this guy's at halfback.
Look, I know this is a lot of what if in hindsight, but this squad could really use Lachie Ilias. This squad, full strength with Lachie Ilias at 7, I would be much more confident as their direction. My worry is this Lewis Dodd signing has ruined the next, and it's, please, I'm not trying to be rude to Lewis Dodd. He didn't sign himself. But it's kind of ruined your next couple of years because, like, who is the out-and-out seven? Like, when I look at this side, every other position, it's top tier, all that good stuff. But you go up against the Melbourne Storm or, like, the Raiders or whatever with this halves pairing. I just don't know whether they can go to that next level because I don't think any Rabbitohs fans sitting here going, we're in the middle of a rebuild phase. So I don't think they're going to be okay with like, oh no, let's just spend the next few years rebuilding a 7. I think that most South fans are sitting there going, we've had a bunch of injuries. When we're at full strength, we should be charging for the top 6 at the very least.
Yep. That's exactly right.
Yeah. So I'm just getting a bit concerned that maybe, Humphrey's had a great start to the year, but is he an out-and-out 7 in the NRL? I'm just not sure.
I don't think he is. And I don't know where he's going to fit in. He's definitely in the 17 somewhere, but with like Mamazelos for some reason played reserve grade on the weekend, nearly played 60 minutes. I don't know what happened there. Brandon Smith's come in. We've got who else? Bronson Garlick coming next year. The hooker positions.
Could he be a bench utility / forward 13 halves cover?
Dodd.
No, Humphreys.
Humphreys.
I feel like he's big enough to be 13 in the NRL.
Mm-hmm. Definitely.
And can almost be like not number 14, but like a number 15 that can cover 6, 7, 9, 13, edge back row at a pinch.
I actually thought he was going to be the 14 this year and he was going to rotate with Mamazelos. But yeah, I like that a lot.
Yeah, I will say, like, I don't know what his necessarily best position is. Probably is as a 14 and playing as a utility that can come on and play a bit of middle forward. But he started the season really well. And it's not just injuries, but you're asking a bloke to play halfback where he said he's come through as a number 9 at a new club in his first season. He's had, 4 or 5 different halves pairings and all completely different as well. Cody Walker, Jack Whiten, Bud Sullivan, Latrell Mitchell. Like, that is a ridiculous amount of halves combinations that he's had to try and deal with. The start of the year, he was playing really good footy before he got injured. So, look, I'm not saying it's necessarily his position long term, but he's had some excuses.
I think, I don't want to come across like Humphreys has been terrible or anything like that, or blame. I'm not blaming the losses as well on Humphreys. It's more just like, I think a lot of South fans are sitting there going, we've got a bunch of injuries right now. Like, we're not making the 8. So let's not think about that. Let's think about when we're full strength, can we make the push we want to? I think that's more my question with Humphreys. Like, can Humphreys be a 7 that can squeeze you into the 8? I think probably, yeah. Good kicking game, really strong in defence. Just the question of, like, when I imagine this one up against... Because I thought Cheese the time that he played was great.
Mate, he changed our attack when he came on. They were, like, yesterday there was like 2 different teams.
Yeah. And so, like, I just look at that and I go, you know what, maybe Humphreys would be suited to be... the Garlic one's really interesting to me because I wouldn't mind a Cheese Humphreys rotation. Like, that's explosive and powerful through the middle. But then you got Mamazelos there as well. It's now anyway. That beside the point. Just a point. I just kind of.
I think as well on Jamie Humphreys too. That as Timmy said, he's had a lot of different halfbacks and whatnot.
For sure.
I'd also, if I'm going to judge a South Sydney halfback, I'd love to see him with Cam Murray too.
Yeah, it's
that's
fair.
the other thing that does change things instantly. And like, even mate, just having Cody Walker with him for a long period of time, like he had a hamstring injury, where he was out for 6 or 7 weeks too, didn't he, Jamie Humphreys? Yeah. For a long period of time, like there has been a lot going on there. I
agree. I'm definitely not
playing. Win a comp with it, but in saying that, mate, if the rest of this South Sydney team fires,
so good. Yeah,
like if Cody Walker's at his best, I think you can win a comp.
It's more I'm just getting that feeling. Like at the start of the year, I was very on board, so I'm not blaming Humphreys for the losses at all. Like he works his backside off, he tries his heart out, and you're right. He needs to get a halves combo so we can actually build his game too, and that's my next concern, mate. Just the soft tissues on Cody Walker, soft tissue injuries at this age. Just a little bit worried about that as well. Heading into what is he, 34, 35?
I think he's older. I think
35.
Yeah.
Just getting
35.
This many soft tissues this year. He's going to be a year older next year. When he goes, who you got then?
Literally, like, I don't know.
Yeah.
You're in a weird. Yeah, they're in
it's
a
weird
spot. At the moment, yeah. They've got a young kid who's coming through that's a halfback that they think can be that guy, but he's still a few years away. So I think they're trying to work out what they do in the meantime between Bud Sullivan and Dodd. But like when you are talking about this halfback jersey and you think about the money they've got Dodd there on without bashing him again, but
that did really ruin their recruitment.
Imagine if you go into next year and you put $700K on the mark and go, we need an established 7 to come play under Wayne Bennett, Latrell with Cody. Like, you're talking your Sextons, like George Williams, his name keeps popping up.
Could have gone
He'd
for
be a
Fogarty.
great little fit. Fogarty would be perfection.
Like literally perfect.
Yeah.
And so that's why, and I just want to be clear, not knocking Dodd. I know I see all the comments. It hurts me hard seeing how much that guy gets peppered because he didn't sign he didn't give himself. But I think the person responsible for bringing Dodd over on so much money, one of the worst calls, like it has really hindered your development as a club that you might have found a replacement for in Humphreys. But the problem is you definitely would have found a replacement with $700K in the cap. You could have easily got Fogarty, Sexton, could have been a return home for Reynolds for 1 year. I don't know. Like, there's a lot of options that could have happened. Whereas right now, you've got no money for a 7, really, because of that decision. This isn't us being hindsight heroes. When we heard about the whispers of this happening, we were like, what the hell is going on here?
One of the all-time Barrys.
Yeah, I just don't get it. Anyway, look, I know he was did he start centre or got moved to centre?
Started centre.
Started centre.
Yeah, because
Honestly,
you and Aiken got ruled out.
That's what, I find it so hard to be so critical on the Bunnies. Like, they already had to move their back rower in Ewan Aiken to centre.
Yeah.
He gets ruled out. So then they moved their other red-hot back rower in Tallis Duncan
He's
to
a
centre.
rookie, essentially.
Yeah, it's like, jeez.
I mean, I know he's not a rookie per se, but I will say at least in attack, like Tallis Duncan has just gone to a whole new level this year. Geez, he is freaking talented.
He's gone to a new level in the last month.
His
really.
last 6 weeks have been
But
incredible.
surprise, we've been look.
Oh,
Let's be clear here, and this is also us not being hindsight. We've been calling for this for so long with Tallis Duncan. Give him time on the edge to build his game. And you know what? Maybe that is what Humphrey needs as well. So maybe that's the same thing. He needs time as well. But we've been talking this for, what do you reckon, a year and a half? Nearly 2 years.
Yeah.
He finally gets some time on the edge, and he looks like one of the best young back rowers in the competition.
Yeah. Well, he was
Surprise.
in our CBA top 5, not this year, the year before.
Year before.
Yeah. Yeah.
And we were calling, mate, and he would come in, he would play okay, maybe some deficiencies here or there. And every time we would say, just leave him here, let him develop himself. And surprise, surprise, he gets some time under his belt, gets put there. And like, I'm thinking of young back rowers right now in the rookie phase of their career. He's one of the best, literally. And so, anyway, I hate to put the boot in, but I just think South, the way it's been handled and run the last couple of years, has just been some huge mistakes made. Huge mistakes. Well, I don't know, Matty, your thoughts, mate? Am I being too harsh?
no, not at all. I mean, he's on X amount of dollars and he's played, 1 game? And
Like Tallis Duncan's development.
Oh, that was outrageous. Like, I reckon not last preseason, the preseason before, I think, and we were talking about it all the time, they basically said he's not playing on the edge. And he didn't play on the edge. I don't think he played on the edge once last year. And everyone was like, what the hell's going on? And then, as soon as he kind of goes this year, he did start slow. I will admit that. And that's probably to your point. He just needed time. And he did start the year
and some
quite
confidence
slow.
rather than a club coming out going, he's not playing on the edge.
Yes. Yeah, pretty much. So I think that's a good point about Humphreys as well, that maybe he just does need time there because since you brought it up 10 minutes ago, I'm trying to think who, could you confidently say who South's halfback is going to be round 1 next year?
Yeah, I mean, probably Humphreys. Probably. But, maybe Bud has a huge preseason.
Yeah, I don't know.
But if we get to round 1 next year and it's Cody Walker, I won't be shocked either.
Yeah. True. Very true.
I almost wonder if that maybe is your answer, that you go and find another outside back and play. Because I love Jack when he plays 5'8" in this side. I think he really straightens them up.
I think you're almost wasting Jack at centre at times in this side because he's a top tier player that should be hands on the ball as much as possible. And sometimes at centre he's just not getting the ball, so he can't impact the games. Then you go, okay, that's a lot of pressure on Cody Walker, who is currently dealing with soft tissue injuries. Yeah, it's a bit of again, some really, really crucial calls for this club that are coming back to kind of haunt it a little bit, I think. But, look, I know I sounded a little bit harsh on Humphreys before, but it's just maybe you boys are right. Maybe he just needs some time with a 6, 12 games. He knows his role because, to be fair, in his defence, at the start of the year when he did have a 6 and it was all good, his role was very simple. Kick the ball as freaking long as you can, make your tackles. Maybe that's all he needs.
It's a great point. And like you said it, Timmy, Cody Walker's well, he hasn't finished a game since round 4. And I said 15 minutes ago, I was like, oh, well, he's probably not creative enough to be 7. But that's not really his job.
No, you don't need him to be.
Yeah,
like
so-
you've got Latrell, you've got Cody Walker. He doesn't need to be the one creating all your points.
Exactly right. So, yeah, maybe I was a little harsh myself.
And I think as well, like he'll go into next year, he'll have an entire preseason at halfback knowing I'm going to be the
He'll be the
7
halfback.
with the experiences that he's had from this year.
Yeah.
Whereas this year it was, I died, and then mate, after trial week 2, we all went, oh, fuck.
It was going to be.
Turned the world upside down all of a sudden, and now he's the 7.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm still a bit unsure, but you're probably right. You're probably right. Okay.
The big question mark with South, sorry to...
No, good. Go.
Jai Gray, I don't know what they're going to do with him. I know he's injured, he didn't play yesterday, but I literally have no idea how he fits into that team. And I think he should be there somewhere.
You know, could it be Cody Walker at 7, Jai Gray at 6, but then you lose White in it?
I think that's the best way to get them all in there, but...
Yeah. Jeez, tough one. It's been, this last few years,
It's a schmozzle.
it's been
And
some
like, if
poor
that's what
calls,
you
injuries.
end up doing, like you've literally spent half a decade getting Mamazellis ready
Yeah.
to not play.
To not play. Look, so I know he's out for another 6 to 8 weeks, but geez, good signs from Cheese.
Yeah.
Bloody oath.
Like, really changed their everything about him.
Did you see his speech that he did when he got his jersey?
No, I didn't see
Yeah,
that.
it's on the South thing. Worth having a look at. Like he completely breaks down. You can tell how much he actually cares. Which I think is a really positive sign with Cheese.
Yeah. A Cheese that feels like he owes you something is a scary,
100 man,
scary
and that's
prospect.
exactly what it was.
Yeah.
Go and watch it. It's on South socials.
Yep.
Yeah.
So that's what they definitely got. Like, all the decisions when Wayne arrived have been outstanding. I just think this Dodd one is... It's almost a little bit like the Knights one with Kalen Ponga moving into 6. It just rocked their recruitment for like 2 or 3 years after. They're still feeling the effect.
In saying that, around that, like, geez, they've made some good. Like, I think the UNA signing has been tremendous.
Brilliant.
Just getting Jamie Humphries to the club has
Brilliant.
been fantastic as well. So there has been some, like, Hubner's been a good get as well. There's been some good
Hubner's
moves in there.
Hubner's defense is phenomenal. And just to be extremely clear, Humphries to me is a bloody good player. It's more just about where does he fit. It's not whether he's an NRL player. Bloody good. Okay. Alrighty, it's time for Face the Music. Brought to you by Sportsbet.
Round 19, we've got a full round of games, and we've got the decider as well. So I'll get a man of the match and a try scorer from you in that one as well. But we'll kick off with first game is Friday, Sharks versus the Dolphins. Sharks, $1.67 host the Dolphins, $2.22 the line, 3.5 points in that one on Friday.
Taking Dolphins head to head, baby.
2.22, yep.
Yeah. We assume Hamiso doesn't play in this one. Backing up from Origin Wednesday night.
I'm not assuming anything from now on because
Yeah.
every single one I think has happened. The other thing has happened. So I don't know.
I don't think Hamiso will play. I'm going to...
Big night celebrating after winning the series. Is that
Yeah, he might be on the drink after the series,
Actually, I'll take the Dolphins at value.
Yeah.
Sharks to cover.
Okay.
Dolphins with a start.
Yep, I'm going to take the Dolphins head to head as well. I think that's good value for them.
Oh, okay.
What?
Okay. Let's see what's going on here.
Here we go. This one's more up your alley, Kempy. Knights, $4. Host the Storm, $1.25. Lions, 11.5 points.
You know what? Just to stick it up, you guys. I'm taking Storm head to head. Suck my odds. Suck my odds. Suck my odds.
Let me get my draw off the floor here. $1.25.
Suck my odds.
Yuck.
I'll take Newcastle at the start.
I'll go Knights for the start too.
I'll go Storm minus a start.
No, I'm going
Hang on a sec.
Knights.
So what? You're 50 cents more than what?
Knights with the start.
No, $1.98.
Yeah, 65 cents more.
Fucking look out. Fucking
Yep, coming to get you,
fucking
mate.
rebels here.
Coming to get you. Dragons, $2.55 host the Roosters, $1.52. The line, 5.5 points.
I might go. I might just go. I'll go Roosters 1 to 12.
280.
Chooks 13 plus.
280 as well.
It's 280 as well. Shit.
I'll go Chooks to cover.
Yep.
Chooks to cover.
I go on Dragons head to head, $2.55. Up to North Queensland, the Cowboys, $2.88. Host the Dogs, $1.42. I reckon there's a bit of value in this one. 7.5 points is the line here.
We go Cowboys 13 plus.
750.
Cows 1 to 12.
380.
Dogs 1 to 12.
285.
Dogs 1 to 12, please.
Yep, I'm going to take the Cowboys head-to-head, 288. Then we're across the ditch. The Warriors, $1.36 host the Tigers, $3.18. 9.5 points is the line.
I'll take the Warriors head-to-head.
$1.36.
Oh, suck my odds. Suck my odds.
Tigers with the start.
Warriors 13 plus.
220.
Tigers at the start.
Yeah, I'll go Tigers head-to-head, $3.18. Eels, 380 host the Panthers. Here you go, one for you, Kempy, $1.27. 11.5 is the line.
I'm going Eels head-to-head. Bit of value there.
380, okay.
Yeah, I'll go Penrith 1 to 12.
295.
We'll go Eels with the start.
Yep.
Panthers minus the line.
Yep. I'm going to go Panthers 13 plus, $1.98. To bring us home for the round of football, Titans 370 host the Broncos $1.29. 11.5 is the line in that one.
Yeah, I'll just go Broncos head-to-head.
$1.29.
Suck my odds. Just suck them. Just suck my odds, mate.
Titans 1 to 12.
Titans on 12, 480.
Make some moves and go Titans 13 plus.
1050.
Bronx minus the line.
Just to spite Kempy.
Oh, you're winning the minor premiership, eh? Raiders locked in minor premiership.
I'm going.
Oh, you're
They're probably a bit too juicy for you. Can't be $1.80 in that one. I'll take the Titans 1 to 12, 480 as well. Then obviously game 3. That one's coming up on Wednesday night. New South Wales $1.43. The Maroons 283, and the line is 7.5 points in that one. Give us that. Give us your anytime try score and your player of the match as well.
2-6, mate. Let's get this up. Okay. I'm going to go Queensland 1 to 12.
Yep, 390.
And anytime try score, did you say?
Yep.
Hammer, anytime try score.
218. What about a player of the match?
Hammer.
You going Hammer as well? $15.
Hammer time, baby.
Yep.
For first try scorers, are we getting, like, if they're at 7, we get $7?
Yeah, that's anytime try scorer.
Fantastic. I'll go Blues 1 to 12.
Yep. 280.
Yep. I'll go Payne Haas to score into Payne Haas MOM.
Payne Haas to score 775, and Payne Haas man of the match 850.
All right.
Shorter than I would have hoped.
Yeah, $15 for Hammer's good.
I'll go Blues 13 plus.
Jeez.
Alrighty, yeah.
240. Went well last time.
That's why you're on the bottom of the table, mate.
I'll go Angus Crichton, anytime try. Angus
420.
Crichton, man of the match.
And $36 man of the match.
Jeez, that is good. That's
When that
juicy.
mobs, and then when the Titans win 13
Oh,
plus,
settle
I'll be
down,
leading.
mate. Settle down.
Blues 13 plus and Cleary.
Okay. Cleary for a try, 490. Cleary player of the match, 550. I'm going to go Queensland 1 to 12 as well, 390. I'm going to go Papali'i to score, $13. And I'm going to go Cam Munster man of the match at $8.
Okay.
Yep.
I'll tell you what, if you land that $36, that is so
on.
fucking rank, bro. That is so rank. Okay, that is Face
his
the Mu-
odds.
Suck his odds, mate. That is Face the Music brought to you by Sportsbet. A massive thank you as always. And as usual, don't forget, actually, next week we are drawing the Mazda BT50 thanks to Luke Camilleri and Aspley Mazda. Give them a follow, LDC_01. As usual, we'll go and fuck ourselves. Thank you.
Imagine what you could be buying instead. For free and confidential support, visit gamblinghelponline.org.au.